Because you know what your points are.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's a Dark Sun. It's season 3 premiere. Only 2 months late. We're right on time.
It's good to be back.
Are you saying I'm late?
We're all, not you. We are all late, and
Yeah.
it's mostly
You
probably
two are late.
because
I've been here every week with bated breath waiting.
honestly, between the 3 of us, it's probably mine and Wade's fault the most.
Oh.
Scott is probably the most innocent in the delay of this premiere by a long shot. So, welcome back. It's good to be back. I'm excited to take up the attire and the mood of Jack again after 2 months and forgetting how he works, especially with all kinds of new powers. But we'll get to that as we hand it over to Scott.
Well, actually, I have to say, sorry, I'm going to continue your tangent for a second there. I have to say that playing Jack in opposite of Thunk is going to be a lot of fun for you because you're going to be doing a lot of silent, quiet kind of playing on Wednesdays, and then you just kind of like let it loose. You know
very different characters. Very different characters.
Yeah. Awesome.
Before I hand it to you,
and Mortifer, basically the same.
Yeah, exactly the same. I'm probably gonna have to get up in 5 minutes to get food that is being delivered.
Oh, that's awesome. Good for you. Yeah. No, you're good. Awesome. So before we recap and everything, before we go live with our what happened last time and catching it back up and then starting up with this one, I do want to remind everybody that chooses to support the show in any way possible, including viewing. Thank you very much. There's an additional way that you can support the show, which is over on Patreon if you choose to do so. Of course, there are magic items and characters that you can have come and meets the party and have fun. I do have several magic items for this campaign that are waiting in the wing. I think it's 3 or 4. So I know that you put it there, even if you did it a couple months ago. Well, it was between seasons, so I know it's coming. Just know it's coming, even if it doesn't make its debut session 1 or something like that. But it is coming, and everybody else that wants to join on, please, because these are some interesting items coming their way. All right. So what happens season 1 of the series, to sum it up as quickly as possible, our merry little bands met each other for a job to break into a vault to steal some powerful magic or some such that belongs to the sorceress queen of the city of Rame on the world of Athos. The queen had recently died, and the city had fallen into chaos, just utter chaos, and so it allowed an opportunity for people to take chances. You know what I mean? To find their own treasures or whatnot. You guys kind of had to navigate yourself through this ridiculous garbage, lots of trade negotiations, as Wade likes to refer to it as, and eventually find yourself into the castle, and eventually find yourself into the vault where
Whoa,
it
whoa, whoa.
was.
You skipped the anal probe that Mike did to get into the.
That technically was in the vault.
I thought that was to get into the vault. He had to.
That was in the vault within the vault. That was a sub vault.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was just a
How many
finger in the
buttholes did you
beehole.
get into in that season 1?
Okay, well, this is a great start. Thanks, Wade. Do you want to get your chicken?
It's right here.
I didn't expect that. Okay, sorry. Oh my god, I didn't expect that. So, anyways, they got into the vault. They went into the sub vault where they more or less were a part of a ritual to bring back a whole bunch of dead things. This was against what most people's judgment would lead them to do, but they were duped by one of the party members. Yay. Let's go to season 2. We flash forward a couple weeks. Things went to crap. Even worse, those people that they resurrected were extremely powerful in trying to take over the city. And you were now their bitches, doing all of their biddings. You went around doing some pretty incredible tasks of overcoming different areas, collecting items, things like that more or less they needed for their ritual, priming up locations for the ritual that they were inevitably going to do. The season finale ended with you guys actually doing the ritual, but not under the tone that it was meant to be done by the villains. It was supposed to be you doing the ritual, eating them as their bitches or servants or whatever, to pull forward, puncture through to the astral plane for the first time in thousands of years in the history of Athos, to pull forward from the astral plane a divine spark that existed therein, and to place a divine spark into some lord that one of the PCs and all these bad guys happen to worship or work for, or whatever the case may be. However, the charm and wit of our merry band of friends altered the mind of that one party member, and he chose last second to change who it was that was getting these powers, and they fell onto your characters. Your characters then retreated from the area, being greeted by this powerful entity who, sure, you found yourselves greater than you were before, but not quite as powerful as that entity was, and you ran off into the night, had a couple conversations, and scooped up your ladies, and or at least one of the two ladies, allies of yours from the Calum family. From the Calum family, who was great allies of yours. So you scooped them up, and you ran off into the desert, where our season then finale finally came to a close. Mathis's love interest, if you want to call it that, as people are kind of like pointing it that way, hinting it that way. Mathis's love interest stayed behind to oversee things and seemed to be upset with him. However, her younger sister, the one who was actually in charge of the Calum family, is traveling with you guys, as well as the uncle and a few of the guards. As I said, that season ended with you guys in the desert, and so therefore this season is going to pick up with you guys in the desert again. But we'll wait for Mike to come back. In the meanwhile, what I will say is this: Wade, we are picking up 2 months later. Mortifer has had a lot of transitions happen to him. Realized that he is as amazing as he always thought he was. Yep. And has newfound abilities. Tell me, have there been any physical or persona changes that have happened to Mortifer whatsoever since this last session, since we last saw him? Anything you'd like to make of note before we actually see him played out?
Well, being as I'm just now finding out it's a 2-month transition, I will take a second to think about it. I believe there would be slightly. So Mortifer, a little bit more about his backstory, is actually from a place that we're trying to get to, and I think that would have come up in the last 2 months, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So overall, our destination is the city of Tyr. Mortifer, having not talked much about his past prior to being in the arena, was born and raised in Tyr with a merchant family, and things went batshit crazy. He and his family were part of the chaos. I don't even know. I don't think he even knows for sure what happened to them, but he was captured, enslaved, and sent to the gladiator pits. And so the last time he saw Tyr, yeah, he was separated from his family as a teenager, and the thought of going back now is a lot more. He's always had a lot of confidence and arrogance, but knowing that he's going back to the city where his life was taking him on a very different path, one that he was very rebellious of and not so eager to go on because he didn't quite have the same intelligence as the rest of his family, didn't have the same ambitions. I think that he's ready to kick some ass in Tyr, and maybe we'll learn more about him and how he feels about everything that went down as this season goes on. Because I think it's a good place for him to revisit to see how he's adapted and changed, and maybe we'll learn a little bit more about him as a person and less about his persona.
Perfect. Yep. The plan, of course, is for you guys to travel to Tyr, which you are far from at this moment. I'm curious what it is that Mike got for dinner. So maybe Mike can tell us what he had delivered.
I'll bet you $100 it's Wendy's.
Wendy's.
Oh, come on. Really?
Yeah,
Mike, let me bet him.
Oh shit. Yeah,
why would you have Wendy's delivered? That's supposed to be like guilty food that you regret that you're taking the first bite of while you're
First
still
of all, I only eat Wendy's like once a month at most.
Yeah, and you're supposed to feel bad about it. Not pay somebody to bring it to your house.
I paid them $2 to bring it to my house.
Yeah, well, you can get another octane, but it's still sad.
Did you get some chicken nuggets?
Yeah. I did actually.
Why did I mention the chicken? Now it's going to be here on stream. Oh,
listen, out of all the fast food I could get, Wendy's is the best option.
Chipotle.
Really? You put Chipotle over Wendy's?
Oh, in every way. Oh, in every way.
I ate my cousin. That's why I'm here alone now. Apparently eating other chickens when you're a chicken is frowned upon. That's my story.
I think the creepiest part of what Wade's doing is that because of the way the focus went in the camera, his forehead just became this like gray blur in the background.
Oh.
Chat. Wendy's or Chipotle?
I'm not even in chat. I should probably do that.
That's fine. You don't need to. I'll give you the answer.
Yeah.
Wade'll keep me honest.
Obviously
Wendy's. Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A's not in this argument.
Never Chick-fil-A. Oh, that's not even an option.
I like their chicken a lot.
No, not
Wendy's.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but these people here probably eat Taco Bell. So I mean,
these people support our show, Scott. And how dare you ever speak?
Sorry, listen, if these people here, like Patrick Static, is a Taco Bell eater, then I can't trust his judgment because he just likes putting trash in his mouth. Okay.
But the question isn't Taco Bell.
Eats a cup of ice cream each day.
See, I'm just seeing a bunch of Chipotle now, Harlequin and a piece
all two of them. All two of them.
I'm just seeing a bunch Wise girls that have definitely said Chipotle.
Yeah.
Just saying, okay. But yeah, I definitely don't choose Chick-fil-A.
No, me either. Continue.
All right, so let's keep going. So
we're traveling. Where do
we
you travel?
guys do? So Mike, in the 2 months of transitions, as what's his face there, Jack has come to figure out the differences of himself physically and his capabilities and so on and so forth. So you got about 2 months of traveling straight through the desert. And we're going to get to the interactions, whatnot, with you and the Kalin family in a moment. But what physical changes would we see, or even just hard personality changes would we see of Jack that may have happened, if any?
I don't know if you'd see any physical changes specifically, and maybe that's what's so most. Did Mortifer change? Did we already ask that question?
Yes. While you're eating.
What was?
He has one extra ab.
One extra ab.
It's a 9th ab.
No, I would say the only thing people might start noticing out of anything is I don't think I changed physically at all, and even my personality is probably as bombastic as usual. But people continually probably forget conversations they have with me. Like, just accidentally. Now, it starts to become noticeable to Jack that people, every time we start a conversation, people forget what we talked about before or seem to, have a loose grasp.
Okay. All right. So let's go into the interactions that you guys have had. Like I said, it was about 2 months' time that you guys took to the deserts. Mm-hmm. Now, when you first took to the desert, the issue is neither of you have ever traveled through them before. Mm-hmm. And of the Kalin family members that you're with,
really, not even Mortifer? I'm surprised.
Mortifer spent his life as the child of a wealthy merchant family and then a slave in the arena.
I knew the arena part. I didn't know you were a child of a wealthy.
I had to be shipped from Tyr to Ram, but I imagine that wasn't a journey that I really had much.
Yeah.
With.
Exactly, navigation like that with. And then speaking of that exact scenario, the Kalin family, you're talking about the two important ones that came with you were Clavis and Cadid. Clavis and Catid are two wealthy nobles. It's not their job to know how to get from A to B. It's their job to be transported there and to make sure the family runs well and to live luxurious lives, right?
Correct.
So they wouldn't know that stuff. And you do have guards with you, and some of the like noble guard that came with you, they have a sense of bearing to a degree, but very, very, very little. We're talking like rolling wastelands that go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
So when you guys first came to the deserts, you went on for a period of time that just seemed to never end. Once you had Rain leave your back, you don't even know if you could have gotten back to it if you wanted to. It wasn't until after a considerable amount of traveling and potentially going the wrong way that eventually came across the area with some ruins. Excuse me. That seemed very familiar to via stories and whatnot, and education of the Kalen family peoples, that kind of gave you guys a bit of a sense of direction and kind of showed you the way that maybe if you follow the path the correct way, you can find your way to the city of Urik. Urik is the closest city-state, at least traveling towards the direction of Tyr, which is where you're going, the closest city-states to Rain. And so, even though it's still under the control, as far as you know, of a sorcerer king, it's at least a city where you can get yourselves out of the desert.
Does
Because
chat have the map to see where all these cities are?
I can share the map in chat.
Just so they can kind of see along to where we are, where we're going, where we're trying to go.
There you go. Thank you, Wade.
We're up east of the Dragon's Bowl. Urik is northwest of the Dragon's Bowl. We're trying to go further west from the Dragon's Bowl, following all those red roads around. You guys can find it.
But Rain, as you said, originally came from Dragon's Bowl, head due east to where the two roads meet. That's Rain. But continuing on. So you, the two of you, what you had noticed while you were traveling all this time, is that the desert isn't as overbearing as you initially thought it might be. Oh, I'm so sorry. Keep yawning. It's a very long day for me.
I was gonna say you have an excuse. You had a very, very long day.
Yeah. So
Mine was 24 hours.
funny Wade. Funny.
Thank you.
Only 22 hours and 14 minutes as of right now, but it's still funny.
Right.
So the every time you break my train of thought, Wade, I have to find my way back. He's gonna have fun with this to torture me for last night.
Need some help, Scott?
That's right. You're gonna meet Trini. So you guys are making your way back to you guys are trying to find your way to Urik because at least it's a place to get yourselves out of the desert. Now, the two of you would find out that traveling through the desert isn't as horrible as originally you thought it might be. One of the things that you discovered amongst about yourselves is so long as you find time to rest, you always seem to have energy. You always seem to have the ability to kind of pull yourselves together, no matter how exhausted your powers might be, or your mind, or yourself physically. But you also don't really find yourself the need to eat or drink the way you did beforehand. You certainly can enjoy a meal, and you certainly can very much enjoy the taste of cold water, or at least water at all, running down your dry throat as you're traveling through the desert. But as others were going through small bouts of either starvation or dehydration, as you guys are trying to find small little place to trade for goods, to small little place to dealing with raiding monsters or peoples and taking its supplies or eating its flesh to the next, you were perfectly fine in the interim. So the travel continues on for a considerable amount of time. And finally, you come to landmarks where you decide we are within 2 days' travel of Urik. Everybody is exhausted but the two of you. You've never seen Catid, who's always soft-spoken but well-composed, is more often than not needing to be assisted while walking, even if she's trying to compose herself as best as possible. Clavis, on the other hand, are we ever gonna find ourselves out of this desert? And it's just a constant whining her since almost the beginning. There are moments where perhaps you thought about even letting him die, and moments where he found himself in dire straits and you contemplated not going to his rescue. But for one reason or another, you always found yourself accidentally or on purpose doing what needed to be done to save his life. 2 days out from where you believe Urik actually is, you guys are setting up camp for that evening. The day today was an extremely hot one, which means that tonight is going to be a very cold one. So, of course, you set up your tents and your supplies and everything to prepare the others for the extreme temperature dip that's going to happen. A temperature dip that, if I remember correctly, Wade, that doesn't really bother you, does it?
Yeah, I was just trying to find that. No, I'm pretty sure temperatures.
Because of your core, one of your core abilities, and since starting 3rd level of being a Sonic Warrior, you can ignore those extreme temperatures, and so they don't bother you.
No,
And
temperatures don't bother me that much.
Mathis, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have Endure Elements as a potion?
I don't think so. Do I?
Double check.
I'm looking at what I have for potions. I have Dark Whispers, 2 Cure Light
First
Wounds.
level. First level.
I'm just looking at what I have prepped. Oh, I should go to my spells list.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab a glass of water while you're
Yep,
looking.
I do. I could make one, basically.
Somewhere on my sheet.
Oh
there's
my god, I had a bottle in here.
I can find.
What was that? Wait.
Somewhere on this sheet of millions of things I have added, there is something about the temperature thing. It exists. I remember it being a thing. Don't know where it's at now.
It's your passive ability while you're maintaining psionic focus as a Sonic Warrior of the survivability.
Yeah, that thing that I never wrote down. That's what it is.
We definitely leveled
it's
up.
probably-
We definitely leveled up before we played because I forgot I had claim identity now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we leveled up and we gained.
Mythic points. Yeah. Yes, I do have Endure Elements.
Now, one last question. Do you have the Alchemist ability or the Ephesian Bard ability that allows you to share your potions with others?
Infusion, yes.
You do have infusion. Oh, so then I have to ask. You don't have infinite supply of potions. You kind of do.
Sort of.
Would you share those potions with the?
I would definitely.
All of them? Catted, Clavis.
Have they done anything that like? We're 2 days out at this point. Why would I
2
not?
days out from Urik, it's been 2 months. Of
Right,
travel.
but I mean, if we've let them live this long, am I really 2 days out gonna be like?
I'm actually reverse. I'm actually we're talking about the past. What would you have used them in the past?
Oh, definitely for catted, absolutely. If I
How about
feel,
Clavis?
I say if Clevis is to the point where he is a detriment onto the travel, if he's just annoying, whatever, that's fine. He's a whiner. But if he's becoming a detriment, he's slowing us down. He's a resource hog. Like, granted, me and Mortifer don't need resources, so he might not be a resource hog because there might be extra.
Not having to feed the
biggest man in the group.
Clydesdale.
Yeah, exactly.
I can also carry a couple Clydesdales worth of food.
I guess that's the question: is like, is he becoming a hindrance to the travel? Is he notably slowing us down?
Aside from being the whiner and so on and so forth,
Then
no.
then
he's
yeah,
actually,
I'd give it to him.
Every
you don't
time say
recall-
Einer, I miss Einer.
Like, I'm, to put it into Jack's head, if you guys haven't figured it out, Jack is obviously some level of evil, like to a degree, but he's not the kind of person to be like, just let them die because that would be fun. I made basically, we made a bargain. Me and the family made a bargain. They begrudgingly held up their end. I'm gonna hold up mine.
Yep. Exactly that. And Clavis, in case just as a reminder of describing this gentleman,
I might drop a little poppy into his potions from time to time, just to stop him from bitching so much, because that's something Jack would do.
Poppy seeds are like his poppy to be really sadistic and gross.
just to drug him.
Moving on, Wade.
All right.
So he is middle-aged, at least middle-aged for Athos, which is, it pains me to say this, being in your 30s.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
God.
I mean, makes sense.
It hurts for all three of us, doesn't it, Wade? Happy birthday.
Thank you. I was yesterday.
Yeah, no, I know, but you're middle-aged in Athos. So, and he's very capable. He's clearly knows his way around the sword, is physically capable, so on and so forth. He's just a whiner. So you would help him out. How about the guards?
Yep, they're keeping us safe.
Okay.
I would probably dedicate probably a good 3/4 of my potions of the day to Endure Elements at that point.
Okay, so then you would not need to worry so much about the things like the extreme temperatures of heat and cold, but certainly still the resources of food and water, which are pertinent no matter how resistant to the temperature you are.
Yeah.
Moving on. So it's 2 days out, and you guys are gathered around the camp, and you can see that even though you had probably just recently, because the other ones had worn off or whatever, handed out your potions to Cadid and Clevis and whatever guards are going to be on duty for the night, so you can deal with the other ones in the morning or whatnot. You and Mortifer find yourselves over nearby the fire, with Cat. Just the three of you. Fire to not for cooking, whatever. Just the three of you are gathered around that area. Now, just in case you're curious, what is it that you burn to have a fire in the desert? You would actually collect things like Wade is luckily Mortimer is luckily large enough that he can carry so much stuff with him. Things like chitin off of insects that you would kill, and dung piles should you come across them. When you come across like small groups of colonies or whatever things might exist, things that are burnable. It doesn't have to be wood. So the three of you find yourselves around the fire, and it's another one of those nights where everybody's just kind of quiet for a while because you've traveled together for 2 months. There's not a lot to be said. You know enough about each other. It's there's really no important secrets that you care to pry into any further than you have.
Yeah.
So at this point, we'll actually have Catted is going to start the conversation, turning to Jack, and she looks to Jack, and this has been happening increasingly often, where she looks to Jack and she opens her mouth to say something, and it's like almost like she can't remember what she was going to say, or maybe she can't remember how to begin it, and so she gets quiet for like 4 or 5 seconds. Then you can see across her face the moment where she just remembers what it was that she forgot. And she says, Jack, I was curious. We've talked so much this whole time about us visiting Urik several weeks now, making our way here, but I don't think I ever inquired how much you might know of the city.
What would I know of Urik? Any jack shit, right? I'm just from Rain my whole life. Yeah, heyo. Jack would very simply just shake his head and be like, unfortunately, maybe less than you.
Well, certainly less than myself. I had to be educated in the cities that I traveled through. She turns to Mortimer and doesn't say anything, just looks at him expectantly.
Mortimer knows much, such as it's where we're going, and where we will have been when we move on.
And she nods, and then she nods, understanding that's Mortimer's way of stepping around questions. And she says, have you ever heard of Hamanu's Code?
Shake my head.
Do you know of who Hamanu is?
Also shake my head.
Hamanu is the name of the ruler of the city, the Lion King, that exists out there. Oh God, wait. Get it out.
No, that was me. I was gonna just go into the Lion King theme.
The circle. All right. So that exists there, and he maintains very strict laws within his city. Very strict laws indeed. Luckily for us, there is one law that will play in our favor. The first day that travelers arrive in Urik, the first day that they are there, they are given the grace of ignorance, which means that if you break their customs, if you break their laws, but not egregious ones that are seen as typical or common sense amongst all of the city-states, then there will be no punishments because you're given the grace of ignorance. However, starting the next day, that grace has been subsided, and you'll feel full sentence, full penalty of any laws that you break. That goes true no matter if you arrive in the morning or if you arrive in the evening. If you arrive an hour before sunrise, you have 1 hour's time before the next day begins, and your grace of ignorance is over. So I suggest that when we come to the city, that we plan our trek to
arrive as late as possible so that we can begin fighting immediately.
Ha 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 ha. Jack laughs, but it's very believable.
Mortimer has hunted very pitiful creatures in the desert thus far. He's lost his tattoo. And now we are going into another city where Mortimer has to behave. When can we fight?
It's more than just behave, Mortimer. You have to dress a specific way.
What?
And one of the reasons why we need the extra hours is to find clothing large enough that you can wear it.
What's wrong with Mortimer's clothing?
They have a very strict dress code for everyone there. She looks at Mortifer and looks at Jack's hairstyles that they have after traveling through the desert for 2 months. Granted, you have blades. You can always affect them if you want to, but how mangy do you look, or how clean do you look?
Probably look pretty clean.
Unless Jack would say something, Mortifer would probably not even think about it. So he's probably shaggy as all get out.
Okay. So, and how long is Jack's hair?
About the same as it was. Pretty short. As it is in the picture.
I haven't seen that picture in ages. So it's relatively like my length short?
Maybe
Not
a
like your
little
length?
longer than yours.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay, gotcha.
basically enough
My
to
length
style it.
short?
No.
Not your
wait.
length short.
No.
Maybe in
It's
40 years.
Thanks.
So,
Happy birthday,
Right,
Wade.
30. Yeah, I imagine Mortifer's hair is pretty long by now. Probably coming down to shoulders or longer. His beard's probably real mangy. It's probably really shittily cut over his forehead so as to like not block his eyes. He probably would have cut that much off. It probably looks like absolute garbage.
Honestly,
unless someone else has said something.
Jack wouldn't. He finds it hilarious.
Yeah.
Honestly,
No,
like,
Used an
looking
axe
at my
and cut
abilities,
his hair with an axe.
nobody would dare to challenge Mortifer.
there's no reason that Jack can't look exactly how he wants 24/7 at this point.
There you go.
Literally. So he probably looks fucking immaculate.
Okay. So she says, it is important to note, too, that the city does, of course, still have its Templars.
That's a problem.
It's only a problem if you break the laws.
Templars.
Oh, we still have the mark, don't we?
We lost it when our
yeah.
bodies were destroyed and we were remade.
Oh, right. Oh,
That's why
sweet. Then
Mortifer's
it's
so
not. Then it
pissed
wouldn't
off.
be a problem. No,
He had just gotten it. Mortifer's still pissed about that.
Stay out of. If they stay out of our way, I'll stay out of theirs. It's simple.
Just bear in mind these details. Now, remember, we're not going there just to find supplies and whatnot. We're also going there to see if we can try to utilize my family's contacts to figure things out.
Mortifer would like to change plans and go to a different city.
Well, our plan is to go to Tyr.
Yes, we should skip Urik and go straight there.
They need to eat and drink, Mortifer. We need to resupply. Let them rest. I understand things are different now for you and myself, but you have to think about them as well. We made them a deal. Let's hold our end of the bargain. Then we can take the world by storm if that's what you're looking
Mortifer
for.
feels more powerful than ever, and yet here I am worrying about clothing and customs.
I prefer you can always worry about clothing.
Mortifer cares not about clothing.
I know you don't, but Jack does. So please.
Very well, Jack.
Thank you, Mortifer. If we have to have this conversation again tomorrow, it's been a daily thing, so don't worry about it.
Other than the plan of grabbing supplies, maybe spending a couple of nights there to enjoy an actual bed outside of the sun.
In a brothel if they have one. And he like winks and laughs.
To satisfy whatever other desires that one might have after traveling on the road for so long. Despite, is there anything else that we should be speaking of before we get there? She looks to Jack full on this one. Surprises that we should be anticipating.
In the city? I've never been, so I hope not.
You don't have enemies that stretch beyond just Ring?
If I do, then I
hope so.
If I do, I was a better businessman than I expected.
She nods, accepting what it is. From there, the conversation kind of like drifts off into effectively nothing. You know, a couple more sentences of small talk, and then you guys are just kind of done talking to each other. It's been months. It's just good. Like, it wouldn't have been anywhere near this long had you actually stayed on the road, but you did not. The next day, unless there's anything else you guys do, the next day you guys get up and you take to the road. You're heading immediately south to rejoin the road. As you're approaching towards it, roll me perception checks, the two of you.
Yay, our first rolls in so long.
Yay! Mortifer! Mortifer! Mortifer!
Getting all the good luck out of the way early tonight.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I just want you to
amazing.
know it stopped on that 2 for a very long time.
It did. I thought you rolled a 2. I was like, why are you cheering?
No, there was Tesh that rolled a 2, which is appropriate. He sucks at rolling dice. So anyways, So you, as you guys are traveling south, one of the things that you see is up ahead of you. It seems to be a whole bunch of posts ahead of you. You both rolled very, very high on perception. So you can see that there's a whole bunch of posts. Like at first you just see like sticks standing up off in the distance, but as you get a little bit closer and you realize that no, it's not a mirage or anything like that, you actually see there's clearly posts standing up in the ground. And these aren't small, these are tall posts. This is what Jack sees. Mortifer, with your 30, you can actually make out these posts have don't just go straight up, but also have a sideways fixture on them as well.
Great.
These are very clearly crucifixes. And looking to your left and looking to your right, you can see that these posts seem to stretch on at least as far as you can see for now. They line intermittently this side of the road after maybe a couple dozen feet, the other side of the road, a couple dozen feet, this side of the road, and so on and so forth again for as long as the eye can see, to either your left or to your right.
Is there anything on them, or are they just crosses?
With your 30, I would say you can actually you believe you can make out people on them.
Finally, something interesting. Bodies already strewn up, I think,
Then
on
it's
the crosses ahead.
then it's a warning, Mortifer.
Yes, a warning that Mortifer is coming.
I don't understand. Man, you have not. You've been in the desert too long.
We've killed nothing but worms and bugs, Jack.
Welcome to Athos, Mortifer. It's filled with worms and bugs pretty much exclusively.
Well, worms and bugs don't make people crosses.
No, that's usually other people. Probably the city we're going to. And this is probably what they do to punish those who break the law.
Yes, and I should run on and clear the path for us.
Clear the path of what, Mortifer?
Something. Mortifer hopes. Very well, we shall proceed with caution.
It's not caution. There's no caution, Mortifer. Mortifer, it's just the city warning us that this is punishment. There's nothing waiting to kill us.
Not bandits that put these, this is the city.
If this is bandits, then color me and Preston. Let's join them.
Or take over them.
Same thing.
The city put this up. It's a bad city, and Mortifer should cleanse it of this evil.
Mortifer, when did you get a conscience?
Mortifer just wants to fight, Jack.
I know.
Mortifer's bored.
I know, Mortifer, but
You noticed everyone seems lesser than before. And the insects seem even lesser than insects. With this new...
yes, whatever Einar did to us, whatever he did,
I've not gotten to stretch my legs appropriately. Killing cactus monsters. Mortifer just wants to feel the glory of a good fight again.
And you'll have that. I'm sure you will. But it takes time. Find an enemy worthy. Don't rush in and just kill everything that stands in your way. Find somebody who can stand toe-to-toe with you. Not just physically, but mentally
That would be more
first.
difficult than...
But that's what makes it worthy, Mortifer. Because it's harder. Things worth earning don't get handed to you. Unless you're noble. No offense, Catted. And we are not nobles.
Very well, but patience is not something I have been gifted.
I'm aware. Like I said, whatever Einar did has ensured that we, at the very least, no longer need to eat, drink, or sleep. And it certainly feels like it boosted my ego. But beyond that, we still aren't quite sure what he's done. So just be careful.
Very well. Very well. They will not get Mortifer on a cross.
No, that they will not.
You sure you don't want to take the city over? We
Jack,
could.
Mortifer, I want to take every city over.
Finally, something good. Yes.
But
We
who
should begin
doesn't?
at
That's the
once.
point. Who doesn't? Who doesn't dream of ruling? We
I
can't.
don't care for the ruling. I just want to do the fighting.
So join their army.
Blah. Then there's someone ruling.
Let's get you out of the sands, Mortifer. Maybe being around others will help clear your mind.
Very well.
And then it'll kind of like pat you on the back and just kind of keep walking.
So you guys continue walking towards that road to where again, when you get up there, it's like it's a perfect measurement. We're talking approximately 30 feet. You'd be standing next to one crucifix on your right-hand side, 30 feet up, your left, 30 feet up, your right, and so on and so forth, where these poor, sad souls are either lying there already dead and rotten or already so far gone in living that they don't have the strength to even live or speak or move. You can just barely tell that they're alive because Mortimer happens to be good at healing and whatnot. Just barely tell that they're alive as you're walking past
If
them.
there are any that are clearly suffering, I will happily jam my dagger into their neck and just end it.
They're up tall.
Too tall for me to reach?
Because they're crucifixes,
Gotcha.
yeah, crucifixes are a bit. I mean, they're not like they're like.
Could Mortifer reach if he wanted to?
Yeah, Mortimer easily could.
Mortifer would also gladly help you, reach you up if you want.
Nope. I don't know.
Just to see blood.
I don't know if Mortifer would be that kind of a merciful kind of thing.
No, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
They're not worth his time. They're not able to fight
And
back.
Jack isn't going to ask him to do it, so we just move on.
That's funny. The way you were role playing earlier, Mortimer, I honestly thought you had chosen chaotic good this morning as your alignment.
No, he just wanted an excuse to fight. If
Okay.
anything, it's chaotic evil. He doesn't care if he fight. He doesn't care if he fights good or bad. He just wants to fight.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So, so you guys start walking along, and you're walking along this trail for hours, and hours, and hours, until it's time to set up camp for the night. And when you do, next to a bunch of crucifixes, in the morning, you get up, and you continue traveling for several more hours, until finally you see off in the distance the city itself. And the crucifixes line to the left and to the right of the road, approximately every 30 feet or so. There's another one on the opposing side, all the way straight up to the actual city gates themselves.
How many people could possibly be left in this city based on the number of bodies we have passed?
I mean, Jack is intelligence, not anywhere near as intelligent as, say, Einar was, but easily over 1,000 people, if not a couple thousand people, you've walked by, strung up in this horrible way. And to do a proper crucifix, they were alive and well when this happened. It's not like they were, on their deathbed. They were put up here while they were capable, And this is the visage that you see as you're making it towards the city. These last 2 days were very quiet amongst the 4 guards, the 2 of the Kalin family, and yourselves, as you walked past moaning, groaning, rotting smell. Just the smell alone was
Reminds
horrifying.
Mortifer of the arena.
Oh, no. Even the rot of the arena was a dozen at most at any one time, and usually cleared out or brought far enough off where either some sort of carrion would eat them or just removed so it was out of sight, out of smell, but you're walking alongside these rotting corpses. And one of the things that you notice is it seems as though the first corpse must have been laid immediately outside the city, and then another one adjacent to that, and so on and so forth. So you're walking to the older bodies. You're walking into the rot.
Like they've been here a long time, or even these kind of recent?
It's really hard to tell. I would say probably about an hour and change or so away from the cities where you might stop to check this most recent check of yours. Why don't you roll me a heal check, whatever it's called? Oh, I'm not on the right tab. I heard the bloop. I didn't see
23.
it. Ooh, smexy. So with your 20, I wasn't on the right tab, did I? So with your 23, you're able to tell that the oldest body that you can see. Now it's made a little bit difficult by the fact that every type of rotting is going to be exacerbated by being out in the pale sunlight, not any form of shade or anything like that. But making those kind of assumptions, because of course you grew up on Athos, you're assuming this body's a month and a half old, something like that.
About all of the bodies that we've seen have been out here within the last month is when they've all been strung up.
So what it seems like, month and a half.
We'll actually make note of that. Just almost an excitement. You'll hear, Jack, even the oldest of these bodies, it's only been out here for a few weeks at most. All of this is new. Perhaps something has gone horribly wrong in Urik, which is horribly right for us.
Jack thinks for a minute. He's like, that's one possibility. Or the other is death is the penalty no matter the crime.
Why would there be no bodies older than a month out here?
Because crimes get committed often enough where people are getting killed.
So they take down the body and restring up a new one?
Yes.
They don't leave the skeletons up?
It's a guess. It's possible. I'm only, and he kind of looks back to Cadid. I'm only going off of what Cadid said, but if they have a rule of ignorance, which is unique in and of itself, where we get one free day where we can't get punished, and the next day we're liable for all crimes, I imagine the punishment is, and then he kind of just looks to the crosses, severe enough to warrant an ignorance day.
Cadid actually shakes her head, still pretty much this whole time, traveling with like a veil over her face that's covered in perfumes, which doesn't make the smell any better. She says to you, not exactly. This scenario is as unique as it seems to be. Sure, crucifixion isn't unheard of, but to this scale?
Well then, sounds like something went horribly wrong, Mortifer.
Something also strikes me as off about these bodies as we get closer and closer to the city, and it seems very clear that the source is the city itself, seeming to be leading from as opposed to. As I said, there's a very specific dress code of those that live here. These people aren't wearing the dress code.
Maybe the day of ignorance is not any longer in effect.
I think perhaps when we approach the gates, we should allow me to do the speaking at first.
Sure.
Mortifer's not usually the first to be allowed to speak.
One day you'll earn enough points. I'll let you cash in for...
Well, how many points does Mortifer have?
Well, you need 1,000, and you have 1.
It's like Streamlabs loyalty points. You can be mod for a day.
Mortifer needs less than 200 more kills, less than 1,000 more points. Good. 2 goals.
You know how to get points, remember?
No.
Be good in conversations.
Well, at least 1 goal is attainable.
Jack chuckles and keeps walking.
You guys approach the city gates. As you get to the city gates, what you see there is there are 2 men standing in front of the gates, which is open, but standing in front of it, standing straight backed. What they wear in front of you is like some really nicely crafted chitin armor, clearly well enough crafted to allow for like breathing and whatnot. And the chitin is both hard and lightweight. So this armor comes off as being almost like what you would imagine a half plate or banded man.
Is it like mine? Don't I wear chitin armor?
You do actually. I think you wear a different type of chitin. I think yours is actually super unique. But yes, like yours, Wade. In general, I think you have. Do you have ant keg or something like that?
It's written as shell, but I believe it was chitin that we were looking at.
Yeah, I can't recall. I thought you had a unique beast, but maybe you don't. Anyways.
Yeah.
So anyways, with this with them standing there, both of them standing before you have the exact same haircut. The natural hair of the people that live in this region is kind of like very, very curly hair, kind of like pulls into itself, but they allow that hair to grow down to about the length of where their the top of their ear to the bottom of their ear, being slightly different length between the two of them, but both of them have a perfectly squared off cut from the front of the hair all the way around the back and to the other side. One of the gentlemen has a beard, the other one doesn't. The bearded gentleman, he grows nothing on either of his cheeks. It only comes down like a goatee in the front, and it is a perfectly squared off cut at the bottom of it. Once again, being very, very curly, dark hair. The two of them, as they do a 2-step approach, stepping almost in unison, are holding halberds. The halberds are crafted, the blades are crafted out of very thick obsidian, which is, as you know, a very common material used for bladed weapons in this region. The two of them don't seem to be particularly interested in your arrival, but also not disinterested, just like guards on duty. As you approach, one of them says to the group of you, in a language that you don't understand, words. Do either of you speak Urik?
No, but I can comprehend languages.
So you drink a potion shortly after he starts speaking. So he's kind of like, oh, and you hear Katid chime back with, putting the ends. We are here on behalf of my family for trading negotiations.
Cool.
Of course, these here are my royal guard, and the two are, let's just say, ruffians that are best to have on your side when traveling down these roads, as opposed to standing opposite. You never know who they might know, and what situations they can get you out of. That gets them sizing the two of you up considerably. One of the things that happens when they start sizing you up is the one that starts sizing up, let's face Jack, starts sizing him up, but it's like a strange thing that kind of goes across his face. Jack, you almost feel something eeping from you. Something like you can't control it, but you know it's just there at your fingertips. As he's sizing you up, you almost seem like he has more questions than he's gaining answers, but those are giving him answers to the questions, which are just causing more questions to happen. And he almost looks kind of confused and thrown off by sizing up. Eventually, just kind of like does a mild shake to his head and looks back to Katid. The other one, who looks to size up Mortifer, not impressed by his size, comes to realize he's rather impressed by what he sees before him, and almost instinctively, probably doesn't even realize he does it himself, shifts back on his heels and even takes a slight step back with the foot that doesn't have as much weight on it. The two of them once again return their attention back to Katid, a little bit more perturbed than they were moments beforehand. Katid, being a very, very observant person, kind of sees all this play out on their faces before her, and of course, hides it, but says to him, and of course, the grace of ignorance will be afforded to my men. And they look amongst all of them and nod. One of them asking, first time to the city? Truth be told, not for myself or my uncle. And she gestures to Clavis. And to which Clavis actually goes into a very specific bow. You can see the way that he bows is different from any other bow that you've seen him do beforehand, and certainly different than anything you've seen happen in Rain before. You assume it's some sort of custom that he knows to be of this region. One of the guards actually gives an appreciative nod towards him, and they say, then the grace of ignorance will be afforded to the six guards that you have with you. Understands that it does end at sunrise tomorrow. She nods in agreement and says, thank you so much for your gracious and humble allowance of us into your city. I genuinely appreciate it. And as is custom, she does walk over to the guards and hands each of them 5 ceramic plates, and says, a gift from the Kalin family. And with that, she just walks past them. The two of them step out of the way and allow each of you to walk in.
Cool. I follow.
Okay. When you guys get into the city, you are taken in by a very interesting sight. First of all, the walls of the city itself, which I didn't describe to you prior to approaching, because you were a bit distracted by all of the corpses outside and the smell. That smell, within 50 paces or so away from the gate into the city, subsides. It's you're not surrounded by rotting corpses anymore, so the smell is not there anymore. There certainly aren't rotting corpses in the city. The walls outside the city are a pale yellow. Why they're yellow, you don't know. But they're a pale yellow and made out of some sort of stone material, but looks to be a bit harder than a typical adobe or stone that you would find around this area. Maybe it's whatever rock they can quarry from the area, from nearby. Who knows? When you walk into the city, the peoples about you are dressed almost identically. Every single solitary one of the men are wearing stark white shirts that are stark white shirts with tight sleeves that go down their sides that fall down loosely down to about their knees. Some of them you can see are walking by and they're wearing same identical, like long, almost dress-like shirts, but go all the way down to their ankles. Just immediately judging by the way that those ones hold themselves compared to the ones with the shorter shirts, they're clearly of some sort of higher social status than the others. The ones that have the longer shirts, they're not necessarily stark white. They might have, say, a diamond pattern that runs across them, or some other very simple pattern that runs across them. But the vast majority of people here, stark white. Every one of them has the same exact haircut. The hair falls between the top of the ear and the bottom of the lobe, and has that same cut perfectly around their head all the way through. If they have a beard, it does not grow on their cheeks, only from the mustache down, and it is perfect square cut going across. So not everybody has a beard. Everybody walks in aisles. If you're going up one road, you follow the left-hand path. If you're coming down that road, you follow the right-hand path. People may entertain each other with conversation, laughter, so on and so forth, like you'd see in every other city. But the amount of structure here is almost overbearing for somebody of a more chaotic mind. The buildings themselves are all perfectly constructed and equidistant from one another. The lines are clean, the color patterns very, very neutral, and everything's squared off. Again, very clean line look. If there is a shop when you first walk in that is meant to be a place for you to get a drink, the sign that comes off of a perfectly squared, what's it called, triangle over a door has a perfectly squared sign that has an image of a mug or the like on it that would let you know that this is some sort of a tavern, and so on. As you travel through the city, you take in these sights. This place is, for lack of a better word, intense.
Great.
Mortifer does not like the look of these men. Mortifer does not wish to look like this. We should move on.
And to which, what's her name? Cadid returns to you and says, Mortifer, you have until tomorrow morning at the rise of the sun to have your hair look identical to theirs. It would be a temporary look, but my suggestion is you follow the customs, lest we find ourselves in extreme troubles. I have many matters to take care of, including no short of trying to find out what is going on with my family, and I suppose if I can spare the time, with the road up there. I suggest that we meet at my family's estate, probably shortly before sunrise tomorrow morning, wherever it is you choose to spend the night. That's where you should meet. It's easy to find your way there. There aren't many roads in this city. Straight up this way, the third to last road you will bear to the right. You will find the sign, my family's mark, clearly hanging as all other buildings are marked, gesturing towards the sign in front of you, throughout the city.
Great. We'll wander around this cult of a town then, and I suppose I will. Jack, do I have to do this?
Yes, you have to do this.
If you don't have your hair and beard and whatnot handled before you get to my estate, I will have someone there waiting for you to make sure it's taken care of for sunrise.
Fantastic.
She turns. She says, Mortifer, and gives like a slight nod. She turns to Jack, opens her mouth to say his name, thinks for a couple seconds, looks a little bewildered, and then just nods her head and walks off, trying to like gather her senses.
That keeps happening.
Clavis walks by, shaking his head, and gives Mortifer a slap on like the upper thigh to ass area, and says, "Good luck," and goes walking past you guys. The guards following after them as well.
Mortifer hates this place.
I know. It's not exactly the most pleasant.
I remember something when I was young. My family, they came from money, and I was schooled privately. And I had a dress code and a way I had to look. I hated that.
Wait, you come from money?
Did. Tyr is...
Wait, no, hold on. Let's rewind. You come
Mortifer's
from money?
very cultured.
Who are your parents? When did you leave your parents?
Well, Mortifer never left his parents. There's much Jack does not know about Mortifer.
Clearly.
When Tyr fell into chaos, quite like our DM, I was taken.
How old were you?
It's been years and years.
Can you even remember? Were you a kid?
15?
You were
13?
15 and you're still this stupid?
Yes. No. What?
Don't
Mortifer's very... What?
No, what?
Mortifer's very wise. Mortifer just chose not to do well in school. My family wished for things that I did not want, and therefore I did not care to try. When I went to the arena, it was a blessing in disguise.
You found your calling.
Yes.
Well, Mortifer, it suits you at least. Let's get you taken care of, shall we? I wanted to try something out anyway. Do you mind being... I've been experimenting these past couple of months with some new concoctions. Would you like to try and sip one of them?
Beats getting a haircut and wearing a white dress.
I actually, because I looked up the specifics for it. It doesn't say I need to anything other than a face I've seen to use this potion. Mm-hmm. It would simply be the claim identity potion, and I would want Mortifer to drink it, and he would just look like them. I can throw it out there for you.
What are the parameters though? Because he is a big boy.
Humanoid creature touched. Fort negates DC 17 lasts an hour a level.
But it's as the affected by the alter self. So what are the parameters of alter self? Does that allow you to change your size category?
Let's look. I have no freaking idea. Alter self Pathfinder. When you cast a spell, you can assume the form of any small or medium creature of humanoid type. If the form you assume has any of the following abilities, you gain the listed abilities: dark vision, low light vision, scent, and swim 30 feet. If you take the form that is of a medium humanoid, you gain +2 size bonus to your strength. If you take the form of a small creature, you get +2 size bonus to your dex.
It's funny that you're going to get smaller, Wade.
But stronger.
But take a +2. You actually, that wouldn't happen. You already have a size bonus to your strength, so you're going to lose that and gain it, so it just neutralizes itself. So that's one of the reasons why you're so strong as Mortifer. As a half giant or whatever. So, okay, so...
Just a potion. It's not like a power. This isn't mythic or anything like that. This is just a fucking potion.
Well, there's no limit. Say if you're larger than medium or small, you can't drink it.
Does not say that.
On me, being as we have the potions work, if I have that what's that feat called that we had to take? The sustenance. I'm immune to inhaled poisons and spells or effects.
It's potions. It's different.
Yeah, it's not a poison.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So I'd rifle in my pocket. During the walk here, I would have had light conversation with passersby who'd be willing to, just because I need a face to pick out. And more or less just hand you a potion after I do a little bit more concocting once I get back, once we kind of settle in, and be like, just try this for me. It's not going to hurt.
Very well. Mortifer will be your Petrie. Sorry, Mortifer knows you hate that name.
Jack actually does not respond, which is rare. He just looks at you.
I forgot the term that you used. That's the one I remember. When I smashed in her face, I remembered. That was a good day.
Drink that.
We'll just down it.
Yeah. And so it does exactly as it is. You steal a target's face, transforming yourself into a flawless imitation of it. All of the target's facial features, vocal cues, identifying physical traits change, transforming it into an unremarkable member of its race and gender. You transform into a perfect likeness of the target's true form, as if affected by alter self. You get a +10 bonus on disguise checks to impersonate the original subject of the spell. You take no penalties on this check if the original target is of a different race, age, size, or gender, so you don't take penalties of it.
Also, I don't lose strength.
No. Claim identity prevents any other polymorph effects from restoring the target's true face for the spell's duration, so you're stuck like that until the potion wears off. Though the target, 1 hour per level. Though the target can still assume other forms or faces via magic or any natural shape-changing ability.
Who'd you make him look like?
Just some random dude that I probably had light conversation with on the road. No, definitely not the guard. Definitely not the guard.
What happened to Mortifer's voice?
As he drinks the potion and shrivels down in size to look like somebody else, all witnesses that happen to see this immediately turn and walk away from what it was that they just witnessed. And he's kind of like, it's peculiar at first, as Mortifer's like, what happened to my voice? You know, and whatnot. You look, you're like, that's weird. All these people just immediately turn and walk away.
Potions illegal in this city?
Each one of them immediately found a nearby guard.
Oh,
and is
Jesus.
reporting what they saw to the nearby guard.
That's fine. Rule of ignorance. We're good.
Of what happened. Couple minutes pass before the first guard.
I'm not going to. I'll stay here.
Yep, you stay there.
Yeah.
Before the first guard comes walking over and looks at you guys are still like right by the door to the city.
Yeah. No, we were walking in.
Am my clothing different, or am I still just dressed as Mortifer but looking like an old man?
I don't know. How would that work with Alter Self with his clothing
What
change?
would you make him look like?
Just some random schmuck. Not anybody of like what I would consider higher ranking, low ranking schlub that we walked by.
Oh, so here?
Yeah.
Cool. So
Does my clothing match theirs, did?
yep, of course. Yep.
Oh.
Alter Self will change that as well. So you otherwise you're just like, oh, my clothes don't fit, you know. So you the person comes over, the guard comes over and says, you know, good thing you have comprehend languages, otherwise you wouldn't be able to understand.
That's
them.
true.
He immediately says to you, there's a crime that was reported over here, but I can see just clearly by looking at you that you are claiming the grace of ignorance.
I'm speaking in my native tongue back at him. That's correct.
What?
What?
Do I understand this being altered?
You
or
hear
not?
you understand my end. You don't understand his end.
Okay, I didn't know if altered
Claim of ignorance.
He repeats himself exactly what he just said.
And I go, no, yeah, you are right. You don't speak the common language or my language.
Are you mocking me, or are you just ignorant?
Have you never talked to anybody who speaks another language?
He shakes his head for a second, and he looks at you.
I
And
just
then
go,
he slows down his speech.
Oh God!
And gets very loud.
Does anybody?
Are you a refugee? But in his own language.
Yeah, I look around. What language do we speak again?
You guys speak Ramish.
I just shout. Does anybody speak Ramish?
One of the other guards comes making their way over, and he's like, and he says to the other guard, he's like, "There's an idiot here. He doesn't understand anything that's going on. I think he's a refugee from Rain. I'll deal with this one in a minute," gesturing towards Mortifer. And so the other guy comes over, and he's a very broken Ramish, and he's like, "You here? Why?
From Rain.
Refugee?"
Yes.
He nods, and
I looked to him and I actually confusedly asked, "We broke a law?"
Holds up a finger for a second, and he taps Mortifer on the shoulder, and he says, "You saw him use magic?" And he says this in his language, which you won't understand.
No magic.
So what you hear is,
No, you don't understand him. You just hear.
What you hear is this. What? Got it.
Mortifer.
He's my. I'll say it in Rame. I'll be like, he's with me. He's under the effects of a potion that I gave him.
He thinks for a second, trying to like put together what it was that you just said, because it clearly doesn't make sense to him.
Oh, right.
He's the guard for a second, and he's like, I think he's saying that this is the one that the magic was used on. Oh, so he's not one of ours. I don't think so.
I'll dangle a potion. Ding, 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 and then like point at him. And then do like the drinking motion.
The guards nod, showing that they clearly understand. He's like, the guard that originally approached said that he was going to handle Mortifer in a second. Says, so then he didn't break the law of silence. And he nods, saying he's just another refugee then. And he looks. The second guard turns to you and says, another refugee.
Yes.
Do I understand it? Is he also speaking that language?
He's speaking broken Ramish. You understand
He's
that?
speaking broken Ramish. Yep. The second guard is. He says,
Mortifer. Mortifer.
come with us.
Okay. I just wave. Come on, Mortifer.
Jack, they want your potions.
You guys are led with them over towards where a very large, very solid very clean lined building made out of, again, some type of harder stone than you typically encounter. And they lead you guys into that building. And what they end up leading you into is our first break. So why don't we take
Okay,
a
sounds
moment?
good. All right, we'll be back in a couple minutes, guys. Don't go anywhere. Hello, welcome back. We're back.
Is that a movie from the 90s?
We're back?
Yeah. The dinosaurs, right? New York
Yeah,
City?
dinosaurs, you might be right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
We're
so.
back. Yeah.
It was like my little brother watched it because he's a bit younger than me. All right. Anyways, so hi everybody, welcome back. So the two of you guys are being led by guards into a big, solid-looking building. It must be a brothel. You're now sex workers.
Finally.
Hi, Bobcraft. So you guys are making your way into this building with these guys, and when you go inside, one of the first things that you notice when you walk in is everything inside of it is incredibly clean, but every one inside of it is another guard.
Cool.
There are several guards inside here, but most importantly, 3 guards happen to be having a casual conversation with a Templar. That Templar happens to... How do you know they're Templar? I'll have you know. All the other guards, as I described beforehand, wear these like nice like chitin armor that they were wearing. You know, scales, whatever, put together. Scales, sorry.
These are all fancy.
Like, plants put
like
together.
metal.
This is a higher quality version of that,
Okay.
with maybe not metal integrated into it, because metal is still extremely rare, but certainly other materials that make it so it's even harder, and so on and so forth. But the way that you notice is that while their hair is equally cut and everything the same as everybody else, these guys wear cloaks, bleached, perfectly stark white cloaks, and those cloaks let you know these are Templars.
Yep.
So one Templar is having a casual conversation with 3 other guards that happen to be in here. These guards lead you over towards the past the desk, and they're leading you, assuming you're still following, over and into a room. The room happens to be set up in such a way where it is 2 tables, one on either side, and a bench set on the back part of the room. The guard that can kind of speak Ramish points to you, Jack, and says, "You. Stuff here. All." And then points to Murderfer. "You. Stuff here. All."
Okay. I mean, I pile my shit on the table. It's just a bunch of fucking ingredients and potions.
And daggers and stuff like
Why
that.
are they giving us their stuff?
Tables were empty until you start putting stuff on them. So, do you have a steel dagger, Michael?
I'm looking right now. Nope. That was taken away from me.
Okay.
Yep, that's right. I had it for like a session or 2, and then it was taken. I have a bone short sword and an obsidian dagger.
Okay. So you take all of your stuff off of you, weapons and whatnot, and you lay them onto the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, they have you, Mortifer, do you take all of your stuff off of you and lay it onto the opposing table?
If he says all stuff here, Mortifer will even like start getting undressed unless they stop him.
They probably aren't paying attention enough, and so one of those moments where all of a sudden they kind of like turn around and it's too late, and they're like, "Okay, thank you," he says in broken Ramish. That's enough.
Oh, Mortifer stuff here.
You can, doesn't matter. And then they point for the bench for you guys to sit at the bench.
Sure. I plop down.
When you guys go sit at the bench, finally, the one that can kind of speak Ramish turns to another guard that happened to come in at one point in time and was watching the endeavor and conversing with them. Turns to him and says, the guard that had come in, looks to be maybe a supervisor or the like, somebody of a higher rank potentially, says, what is it we have here? It's just 2 more refugees coming in from Rame. You're positive in the Ramish? Only understands when I speak Ramish to him. It's like, it's a good thing we have you around. It's good to pluck them out. All right, well, we'll get them locked up. We'll send them out on the wagon either tomorrow or the next day, and we got to keep letting them know. Don't come here. We don't want your kind. Doesn't matter how many miles of bodies they walk by, they still find their way in. Morons.
Might be because your guards let us in.
You say that in
Yeah.
English?
Yeah. and
And
also
so-
get paid.
So you said because your guards let us in?
Yeah.
And so you say it in Ramish, and the other one turns back and he says, you're like a sigh, like an exasperated sigh, like, oh, moron. And then turns to you and says in Ramish, what?
Your guards, they let us in the city.
What guards?
The two that sit out front, and I'll describe them to him.
Did you come in alone?
I looked at Mortifer. Yes.
Anybody else with the two of you?
I'm just gonna say no.
Well, then we'll speak to those guards. In the meanwhile, and Justice for you to follow him.
Mortifer, no leave stuff here.
Mortifer, we're being arrested.
Oh, good. Mortifer, no leave stuff here then, right, Jack?
Jack is very, very confused as to what to do, but he's thinking real hard. You might have to give me a minute because I'm still not fully familiar with some of these things. Fuck. I mean, like, I don't know how strong some of these things are just because the way they're worded is so kind of, like, unspecific.
Let me phrase it like this. I'm your DM.
I know, but that doesn't mean shit because sometimes I can get away with things and sometimes I can't. It depends on, like, the intelligence of these people.
It's a rule of cool, the flavor of Scott.
Fuck, man.
If I think it's cool, it's okay.
Do they have us like cuffed or anything, or like? Well, I guess there's
Nope, not so far. I mean, you're just a couple of hapless morons that are standing in the middle of a unarmed and naked in the middle of a guard tower. What do they have to worry about? There's a Templar, at least one, in this tower.
Looks
All
like,
right, so-
like an old. Oh, go ahead.
How surrounded are we right now by guards?
There's two that are standing, one in the room, one half in the room with you at the moment. But other than that, you would easily walk by 9 other people, assuming these two aren't part of them.
How long is a full round action? 6 seconds, right?
Correct.
Oop. And how many people are paying attention to me right now?
2.
Well, I get if I am like usher one of them away. If I'm like, okay, we're gonna follow. I basically want 6 seconds where I'm not being paid attention to. That's all I need.
At the moment, eyes are on the new prisoners.
Ah, that's annoying.
If you're not saying anything to Mortifer, he's starting to grab his stuff. He's putting his clothes back on.
So if you
Oh yeah,
you
so
go
if
grab-
Mortifer starts getting distracting, I'm just gonna be like, let him be very.
No. If Mortifer goes to grab something off the table, the guard will say, "No, come with us."
Mortifer, stuff. Mortifer's.
I'm just gonna
Thanks,
let.
love.
I'm just gonna let Mortifer continue on for
Yeah,
a minute.
it's fast. Sorry, Mortifer stuff. Mortifer what?
Mortifer stuff. Mortifer's. No table.
So you're saying that in Raimish, of course, and so he says, "Stays here. Get later.
Are my potions on the table?
Everything.
Within reach?
Put it all out there.
Oh, of course, everything's
Kind of.
in the room with you. The
I
room is
know
not
my.
large.
I
It's
know my
small.
potions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. I could get out of here easily.
Sure, and then all of a sudden you're refugees. So you're not refugees, then you're obviously
Mortifer's-
criminals, and
well,
you have to deal with that whole thing.
I feel like we're
They
already
might not
criminals.
know what I actually look like. They just know what
That's
I look
true.
like right now.
That's true.
You
All
have
right.
you have not been criminals. You have not been criminals in this campaign yet. So
Well, I feel like where we
How
are now by being
how
here.
is there? Oh, you're refugees. You're claiming refugee status.
Yeah, and they're just gonna send us out on a fucking barrel in the morning.
What? You don't know that?
And yes, I do.
What?
honestly, the best thing I can do, and I'm just trying to incorporate how my character would realize he has these abilities while also making use of them because that's what they're there for. Could I sleight of hand my invisibility potion and just immediately give it to Mortifer and be like, drink this and leave?
Sleight of hand DC is going to be rather high because they're literally guards that are like obviously
Yeah.
suspicious of every one of your actions.
I have.
So it's going to be a high check.
Then he gets out of here. Okay. Well, I just want a sleight of hand. The invisibility potion, I think. And then not drink it, but just keep it and bring it to the cell.
You're also a mythic alchemist. I'm not going to make you like roll to see which one's which. You know which potions you're
Yeah,
on.
my sleight of hand is a plus 12, so that's why I'm like willing to make this roll. Might as well give it a shot. May I?
Go right ahead. You're welcome to try. I hope you fail.
I mean, I probably will. Oh my
Yes!
god, it went from 13
Yes!
to 1.
Oh
Still, hang on, we can add D6s to that, can't we?
Sure, you go right ahead.
Yes, you can.
I told you the DC was high. You go right ahead,
Hey,
boy.
13's not bad. With the 6.
Is it D6s or is it D8s?
You get a D8 at tier 4, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or tier 3, I think, went up to D8, yeah.
Yeah.
One of those. Something like that. Or 3 gave you the ability to rest.
That's called Surge, I think.
Yep, it is called Surge.
You know
Tier
what?
4,
Fuck
goes
it.
to
I'll stick with the 13. I'll get caught. This is going to be an interesting practice of they leave us in a prison and they come back and try to remember why I'm in prison in the first place.
Okay, so don't play your hand, Mike.
No, but I'm just trying to think again because Jack doesn't really know he has that innate ability to just be forgetful. So he would attempt to snag this invisibility potion, probably fail, get hurled into prison with Mortifer, and then we'll go on from there.
So you try to grab your potion, and what happens is, as you try to grab your potion, a guard's hands flashes out quicker than you expected.
Mm-hmm.
These are clearly practiced guards. They're not just like some typical ruffian that happens to wear a uniform. They're practiced. So quicker than you expected, but not like supernaturally fast. Pulls out a baton and smashes the table. You get your hand out of the way in time, but smashes the table with enough force that it could have broken a finger. Right by where you get your hand out of the way in time. You do not slide away with the potion.
I kind of grunt and openly,
Wait,
sarcastically.
does he swing? They swing in Jack's direction?
Correct. And the
Oh.
guard says,
Well. He might not get a chance because if he swings at Jack,
He's swinging to bat my hand.
it was very much clearly swinging a warning swing at the table. Mortifer's wise enough to know that, but he's still Mortifer and can act however he chooses.
The only thing Jack would say kind of out loud is so much for the law or rule of ignorance.
Yes, they seem very ignorant, Jack.
Jack chuckles.
So they say,
Mortifers.
with no more problems, come with me.
You still gonna send us on a barrel to get crucified in the morning?
It seems like there's no, that's too much. It seems like more info needed.
With you we go then. Come on, Mortifer.
Mortifer stuff.
We'll get it back. Don't worry.
The two guards exchange glances, and then he leads you down downstairs. Now, usually buildings in Athos do not have foundations to them, unless, of course, there are things like castles or whatnot. This building does, and actually downstairs is where they keep the cells. The cells are full of a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people in the prisons down here. You can tell based off of almost immediately when going down there, just kind of like looking, just the looks of the people that you see, that they've been subcategorized into sickly and dying. So let's keep them quarantined for the rest of the populace. Awesome. Thanks for putting me in a big room with them. Clearly murderous and hostile, probably still have literally blood on them. You know what I mean? And drunken and like all kind of categorized out. You get thrown into a large cell that is packed with a lot of people. And as soon as you go in there and you get like everybody kind of falls silent for the most part when you come walking in, they put you into the cell, lock the door, and as most of the guards leave, leaving just two behind to continue like guarding this area, walking through the aisles and whatnot, just keeping an eye on the area. Conversation picks back up. Throughout most of this, the prison down here, throughout most of the cells, people are speaking Urik because it's the language of their lands. The cell that you're standing in, everybody's speaking Ramish.
what is the cell itself made of?
It is made out of like hard stone, like walls, not like
Cool.
bars. It's like hard stone walls that have, small, tiny windows that are reinforced with like the slanted to make it smaller. You know what I mean?
The bars are like made of stone or whatever, the gates.
There are no bars. Yeah, the doors themselves are made out of a very, very heavy wood.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mortifer would like to get out of here and get his stuff back, Jack.
I know, Mortifer. We will.
So one of the people turns to you and says, "Mortifer?
Yes, Mortifer.
Where's Mortifer? Oh, it'd be nice for Mortifer to be here."
Well, today is your day.
And he like realizes all of a sudden as he like goes to like puff his chest out that it's a very tiny, like frail looking chest.
Mortifer's not like this potion, Jack.
I was trying to help us abide by the law, Mortifer. My bad.
Well, you do things Mortifer's way now. Should I open the door?
Not yet, Mortifer. I looked to him like genuinely. Well, if it was just you and I in here, then yes. But we also risk the lives of all the others that are in here as well.
You'd like to be free, yes?
Yeah. I don't know what I'm in here for.
See, Jack, they want to leave too.
So someone else says, I got pulled in here just as I approached the gates. Another one says, me too, just this morning. Yeah, me too. We were all kind of filtered in here one by one this morning as we came to the gate.
Yeah, they're gonna crucify us in the morning.
There's silence at first, and then a bit of like an uproar.
Yeah, I just kind of keep.
How many prisoners did we pass on the way down here? Like, how many different cells of people? Could I estimate about how many there were?
Roll me an intelligence check. That's your best.
Intelligence check, not perception.
You kind of need to do math and add.
Wade failed his intelligence check to realize that. That'd be wisdom.
Hey, that is not a natty 1.
No, it's true. It's a 2 minus 1.
You're thinking maybe like 100.
Jack, there's 100 people here. We could easily open all the doors and fight.
Jack, intelligence check.
I'm probably like, there's 100 people in this cell, so maybe he's not completely wrong. 15.
There's not 100 people down here. There's at most 40 people, most of them being in the cell with you.
Okay, I don't correct him.
It's at most 40 people,
I
including
open the
yourselves.
door, we take out the 2 guards down here, open the other doors, and we have all these people to go and... Mortifer does not like this voice.
Okay, Mortifer, but then what? We free them. We get our stuff
This
back.
stuff,
We
kill
can.
everyone in the town and we leave.
A for ambition.
Yeah, pretty much. Mortifer, he just like looks to him, just be like, remember the lessons I try to teach you. Mostly
Yes, they don't involve dresses and short hair.
patience is what I'm talking about. A little bit of patience. Just wait it out. I have a feeling you and I are going to be fine.
Very well. Mortifer will wait. We die at dawn, everyone. Wishing
Again,
sooner.
bit of an uproar, people questioning whether or not you guys are joking, so on and so forth.
I do not attempt to correct them in any
Even
way.
causing that chaos, he doesn't care. He just sits down and like closes his eyes.
Okay.
Sorry. Trying to add honey to my tea, but the honey's apparently a little bit old. So you make your way to the no, make a way. You guys end up being stuck down there for a period of time. Eventually the guards come down, and you see that the guard comes down with you is the one that is capable of speaking Ramish, kind of, and the other one is one of the guards from the city gates before, and so they are speaking amongst each other. At this point in time, your potion would have worn off because of how much time that passed.
Yep,
Would you drink another one?
Where would he have he wouldn't have another one to drink.
Oh yeah, that's
I have places to keep them.
I'm sure you do. So you're back to being Mortifer.
So that finally wears off. Mortifer eventually gets significantly larger, like much
Does everyone
bigger.
in the cell react to that?
Recognizes him. Mortifer.
That's what I've been...
Mortifer.
Oh, thank God. Mortifer is back.
People are genuinely surprised to see Mortifer's here, but also disheartened by the fact that if even Mortifer got caught, I guess we're fucked. So
Do they say anything like that?
Probably not super openly. Would be
not
my
so
guess.
loud that a lesser person couldn't hear it, but I think your perception is like a plus 15, so yeah, you can hear it.
Mortifer did not get caught. We came willingly for some reason. Again, Mortifer can open this door anytime. We're just being patient.
So inevitably, the guards come down and they have a conversation amongst each other. The one that can kind of speak Ramish and the one that you had seen outside in the gates beforehand. They're talking back and forth, gesturing towards you, talking some more, gesturing towards you, talking some more. Eventually, the one that speaks Ramish comes over and says, "You came not alone."
Does he remember our conversation?
Well, I pop into chat the parameters of the ability.
Oh, he has to make basically just a save. Let's see. It is, I believe it's this one. It's one of two. I think it's this one. Creatures struggle to recognize you. Recall your appearance. Remember the nature of the conversations they had with you and recount the actions you took when you were in their presence. If a creature makes a deliberate attempt to recall the details about the time spent with you, it must succeed a will save DC 10 plus your tier plus your charisma mod to recall anything beyond vague details.
This is how it actually plays out. They go down there. My apologies, I forgot about that.
No, that's fine.
New ability. So they go down there. They start having a conversation or whatever. You guys are watching this.
What's your charisma mod?
Hi.
Eventually, one of them kind of like leans over and starts gesturing on the cell. The other one's like, and so he goes over and starts looking in and looking around for you guys. Clearly looks directly at Jack and Mortifer and whatnot. Turns back to the other one, is like, they're having a conversation with one another. And they're like, let's go, more or less, let's go. And so the two of them end up walking out of there. And they're gone for a period of time.
I think we escaped.
About an hour later, so they come back down with another guard. And the three of them are down there. And the third guard has in front of them an actual like manifest of the people they've taken in. And so they start calling out like one at a time, pulling people out and like inventorying the people that are inside there. And they come across an anomaly because whereas they do have the correct number of people in there, there are no notations that are half giants inside of it. So there's all these like, yep, refugee. The numbers line up for how many they brought down here, but the races don't line up. It just doesn't make sense.
Can I pick up that they have not figured out, at least me? I mean, it makes sense why they wouldn't recognize Mortifer. Correct. But for me, so I'll walk up and be like, excuse me, sir?
The one that barely speaks Ramish says, kind of like draws a sword because there are a lot of people outside of the cell.
Yeah.
And so it draws an obsidian sword halfway up the sheath, not completely out, and says, speak quick.
Can I ask why me and my companion were pulled here? We were guards to a caravan, but did not attempt to enter the city, and yet we were looped in and thrown into prison. We accomplished our job and were going to leave, but the guards outside didn't let us.
You say that, and the one that had seen you outside the city beforehand looks and he's like, he looks and he's thinking for a second. He's like,
good luck.
I know that one. Gesturing to Mortifer. Like he's gesturing towards Mortifer, having his
Many do know Mortifer, as you should.
You don't understand what he said. He just pointed at you.
Oh fuck. Forgot.
What's your DC?
The DC will be, what's our tier? 4?
Yeah. Doesn't matter. I didn't even break 10.
Okay.
So I rolled shit. So
DC is 18, by the way.
Oh Jesus, yeah. No. So he's like, I recognize that one, and then he looks at you and he's like trying to remember, and he looks back at the other one. He's like, clearly having a conversation with them, and you can see he's like making the hand gesture like they were two, and they're talking back and forth for a bit more, and then he looks back to you, the one that speaks Ramish, and says, "Who did you travel with?"
I will describe Cletus.
Cletus, okay.
Yeah, I'll just not Cadet. I'll describe Cletus.
Yep. The guard nods even more, like agreeing, still confused by you, but agreeing, like, yeah, that makes sense. The three of them then get into a furious conversation where they're kind of like clearly blaming each other and whatnot. This is like ongoing thing. And finally, the Ramish one turns back to you and says, "The two of you are not refugees."
No, we were hired mercenaries and we.
There was almost a grave mistake. We sincerely apologize for the misunderstanding that transpired.
What do you mean, almost a grave mistake? And
that was the most clear Ramish he's spoken so far.
I just in a faux worried voice, like, grave mistake. What do you mean?
To continue this act, why don't you roll me a deception?
Sure. Let me look at something real quick. It's under additional, right?
It's hot.
No, it's under the other one.
Yeah, the main page or whatever.
There's no advantage in this game, is there?
No, but now you have Surge.
That's true.
All right, I'll actually make the roll. I won't use a power or any of that. What is it?
Well, you can choose to use Surge after you see the result of your roll.
Well, no, I don't. Yeah, but I probably won't need to lose.
Oh! Oh, I said deception. I meant bluff. My apologies.
There's no deception.
Oh my god. Assets, we're playing Pathfinder. So anyways, you guys are you guys are there. You saying these? They can,
I was like, what do you mean grave mistake?
And God,
just to reiterate, I was like, what do you mean grave mistake? What almost happened to us?
the details details matter not. Come, get stuff, leave.
Thank you, Mortifer.
Lead you guys upstairs to where it is they have every individual person's items.
If you guys
kind of
walk
like-
up, Mortifer would be like, "Good luck, friends." Walk on.
I don't care.
Mortifer.
I'm literally leaving them.
Mortifer. Mortifer. And you guys go out, and so it's one of those things where when you guys go out there and you go to see this stuff, the guard, the one that spoke Ramish to you beforehand, looks at which items you guys are collecting, and he just seems so baffled. He's like, I remember this ginormous hammer. Like, you can clearly tell as Mortifer grabs the hammer, like, I remember that hammer, and being like, where did it come from? Why don't I remember you? And you can totally see, like, once he, like, you kind of like look his direction when you see he's like perplexed, his face goes like flush, like he's clearly like embarrassed, like he thinks it may have been his mistake. And if you understand this country, this city state well enough, if it does turn out this was his mistake, there are probably consequences to it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the rest of the details are kind of like finished, and you guys are processed back out of the place. From here, you are informed if anybody asks, you are hired guards to whoever it is you're with.
Yep.
Do not say refugee.
No refugee.
And he even says
mercenary.
He even says in Urik, no refugee. It's like,
Yeah.
you know,
and I'll
no
repeat
refugee.
it back a couple times just to make sure I got it down. And
Yeah.
and look
You're
to
like-
Mortifer and just be like,
Ur.
And cough.
no, Mortifer, that means mom's third tit. Wrong.
Moving
How
on.
does mom have third tit?
I don't know.
Anyways, so and you guys depart from prison.
High five, we did it, Mortifer. I told you we'd get out of there. Patience. You earned a point.
Mortifer's
You have 2 whole points.
now.
Wow, that's more of a reward I was going to give you guys after this this part of the session so far. So anyways, you guys are now released back into the city. Unfortunately, the sun is setting. Your time to spend in this day is pretty much coming to a close, because you notice that as the sun's setting, people are moving a lot more quickly than they were earlier in the day, and lots more shops are immediately shutting up, and peoples are going indoors.
Well, we
You
know where
imagine-
Cat it is, so that's probably we'll have to go.
Sure. She said to be there before sunrise, so you do have the evening, but it's up to you for how you choose to.
I mean, if Mortifer has anything he'd like to do. I think at this point Jack's probably is trying to internalize why it seems it's not just a catted thing. People just immediately forget him. And that's very bizarre, considering that he was a businessman beforehand and he needed people to remember him.
Do you guys go straight to the Kalem family, to the directions that she had given you?
I think Jack would, but Mortifer's free to do what he wants.
Mortifer would like to not get his hair cut.
He's into the whole long hair hippie look now.
Not necessarily that long, but Mortifer does not wish to look like literally everyone else.
I don't think that's possible, Mortifer. You'll never be as small as they are, or as weak as they are.
This is true.
Oh, lean and thick. So you guys make your way over to where the Kalem family house is. So the Kalem family estate is, which is, from what you saw in the city where you're at before, where they had so many estates and so much influence. In this city state here, probably because like how the politics sort of work here, it is very small comparatively. Barely a middle class person's home, if a middle class even exists here in this in this country or city state that here in Urik. So you guys make your way to the place, knock on the door. Of course, it's open. They recognize who you are. Wait, who are you? Jack. Mortifer. He's with you, right?
Yes, of course Jack is with me. Jack does all the talking. Why talk to Mortifer?
Sorry. Come in. And it's one of those, like, shuts the door, turns a separate knob, and the bigger door opens up, and then you guys are welcome to come in. It's not so big as to easily allow a half giant to walk in, but big enough to make it more comfortable for you to walk in. And once you're inside the house, unfortunately, Mortifer, the ceilings aren't so incredibly tall, so you do have to slouch a little bit. But you guys go walking into the place, and as you do, like, kind of, they do inform you that the lady and the gentleman of the house have retired for the evening, but you're welcome to take your rest. They were also been given instruction that when Mortifer arrives, to make sure that he is given the appropriate clothing and styling if he hasn't done so. And you're also informed that they have a small chest for you guys to place your goods that you're not allowed to legally carry around the city.
Mortifer hates this town.
We won't be here long.
It's already been too long.
I agree.
If Mortifer so much as itches his arm, he's gonna burst through this stupid clothing.
Don't get itchy then.
So you
Wait for that. Mortifer's not used to covering up every inch of himself.
Well, what's gonna win? Mortifer? The itch? Are you too weak-willed to not itch?
Mortifer shall not be defeated by any itch. No scratch shall happen on this day.
I'll hold you to it. You'll gain a point if you succeed. Listen, Mortifer's he's great. He's simple.
But all of a sudden his taint just gets wicked itchy, and he's like,
Not for the entire day.
so soon they're trying to do the
Really,
weird
it's like
thing.
weird. It's
The
weird.
like leg, like hip thing going on, and Jack looks at him suspiciously, and he's like, stops. He suffers through it. All right. So, anyways,
God forbid Mortifer gets intelligent any day ever.
God,
Jack's
you need
last
to
day alive.
get him a potion of
Eagle's cunning, maybe.
No, yeah, Fox's cunning. Yeah. So, anyways,
Or
you
Eagle
guys
Splendor.
Eagle Splendor's charisma.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Scott, give me an earring that boosts my intelligence to 20.
No. So you you spend the night. They do give you clothing, Mortifer. It is a long gown. It falls to just above your knee, or right about where your knee is. It's a very long shirt, tight on the arms, which is nice because grrr, check out these guns. But
22 strength. If I flexed in this, wouldn't it rip through?
they tailor it to make sure that it functions for you without it being an issue. They also cut your hair so it falls your choice, somewhere between the top of your ear and the bottom of your lobe, perfect square cut around. And they shave your beard on the sides, leaving just behind the goatee that comes down, and cut straight across, squared off. You are not allowed to carry with you any weapons or any armor or any magic of any sort as you travel through this, the town as just a visitor or typical inhabitant. So, do any of you choose to hide anything on your person? And Mike, how do you choose to adorn yourself?
Perfect mimic. That's all I need. Got
Your
my
hair just,
wig it. I can throw a wig on, basically, essentially. But yeah.
Mortifer would like to strap his hammer to his thigh. This is not comfortable.
way too big of a hammer, buddy. Is that a Great Maul in your pocket? Or
I can't shrink that for you, man. There's nothing I can do. It's just big.
Can we leave today, please?
I have no need to really carry anything on me. We're just here kind of spending the day, so I think for the most part I leave everything here that is not of value, and I think maybe Jack would just try and get a feel for the city, walk through it, find places that they would at least consider entertaining, be curious what a bar is like here, be curious what a brothel is like in this place, if they even exist. So I think that's what he goes and does, and just kind of sightsees, appreciates it for its structure, hates it for its structure, but it's an experience, I might as well have it.
To answer your questions, yes, there are bars here.
What does
Absolutely.
Sorry, not to interrupt you, but what you described what the men look like in this city. Do the women have a very similar?
Oh my God! Thank you so much for because I meant to say that earlier when I originally described the men. When you first walked in, so the men wear the stark white clothes, as I described beforehand, fall like the dress, everything I said beforehand. The women wear clothing not so dissimilar as what you would actually find in, say, the Middle East in real world. So they're wearing very dark clothes, so very dark shades of gray, if not completely black in color. They fall all the way to just about the knee or all the way down to the ankles if they happen to be of higher stature. Instead of just wearing the like almost like t-shirts with the arms, they also very often wear a veil, though not all of them cover like over their hair or anything like that. Every one of the women have very similar haircuts as well. Instead of falling to the top of the ear or the bottom of the ear, they actually fall to the very bottom, almost like a bobby, I think, or a bob or whatever it's called, to exactly the lined up with their chin, and it's a square cut from around there. Again, not many of them cover like their hair as well. Most of them don't, but they do generally wear veils across their faces. Doesn't seem to be mandated because while it's extremely popular, most of them, sorry, there are women that do not do it that clearly seems to be of this realm. Another thing that you note in the evenings, things are a little bit different. Everybody wears a scarf in the evening. However, once again, if you're of a lower stature, you wear kind of like neutral tones and rather short scarves. Whereas if you're of higher stature, you wear extremely long scarves, long enough to go from the floor around your neck into the floor 3 or 4 times, being the most elaborate, that are very, very decorated, brilliant colors, maybe even filigree and whatnot inlaid of precious metals or the
Are
like.
we dressed to look more of higher stature, lower stature, or something?
Low stature.
Low? Okay.
Yep, low stature. So again, yours is like right about where the knee length is and so on and so forth. You're given a scarf for in case you go out in the evenings, et cetera, et cetera. So when you guys go about that next day, luckily for you, Jack has a very high intelligence and Mortifer has a very high wisdom. Mortifer's good sense motive. Jack is just knowledge local, so you can pick up things quick enough. The two of you are able to kind of navigate your way through the city without getting yourselves into any more trouble. There's no reason for this little montage of explaining things to you. To have you roll at this point, right? So yes, there are bars. However, one of the things that you notice in the bars is that the only people that drink at them are people that are dressed similar to yourselves. There are nobody of higher statures drinking there. Yes, there are brothels, but you'll notice that at the brothels, the only people going in there are people dressed to higher stature than yourselves. You certainly can't get in. What are you talking about, Jack? Of course. Oh, I'm longer. You know what I mean? And you're good to go. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Do you speak the language?
No. That would make it difficult.
Yep.
So I wouldn't even bother trying.
There are many shops that exist in this place where you can get things like foods and typical livelihood and carpets and stuff like that. There's no armor smith. There's no weaponsmith. There's nothing like that.
It makes sense now.
Despite the fact that, Mike, could you roll me a Wade? You can roll yours as well. This is a diplomacy check for gathering information. Oh, I saw a 20 for a moment there.
Yeah, it was 20.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hilariously, Mortifer rolled a natural 20.
Oh, well, but Morty got it after you rolled off of it.
I rolled a natural 2.
That's funny. Oh,
and I'm only 5 off from your nat 20.
How does this happen to me?
Oh, that's so funny.
The rolls lately, I've noticed in many sessions now, they've been really high or low. Like literally so many nat 20s followed by nat 1s and back and forth.
You know nothing about that, Tesh, do you? Nothing about that. So, especially in Pathfinder, huh? So, anyways, the result is you guys actually find out that this city-state here, this Urik, also happens to be in control of a town that exists to the north of here, a town where probably the richest obsidian mines are in the entire realm. So, most of the weapons comprised of obsidian are generated from the mines that are controlled by this town. But despite that, you see no smiths here. You see no armorers here. You see nothing like that. No persons of war with that stuff readily available for you to purchase. Dot, dot, dot.
Wait. Okay, hold on. Why my brain just didn't process that properly? North, where all the richest live, is what rules over this town?
No, this city here that you're in
Yeah.
controls a town to the north.
Oh, the other way around.
That town happens to be where the greatest obsidian
Yeah,
mine
yeah.
is, probably of all of
Athos.
whatever this region of Athos is called. I can't remember the tablelands, of all of the tablelands.
And there's nothing here that sells weapons or armor.
in this town that you've noticed.
They have access to it,
Around
but
its
nobody's
houses.
carrying anything.
Correct. They have access to the materials, but nobody seems to be crafting it here.
Well, it just deprives them of ways to defend themselves.
So when you guys finally reunite with Katid after like a day or so of going about, Katid informs you that she is able to get her hands on the supplies and whatnot to travel forward to continue with a proper caravan outside of the city and heading to Tyr along the roads. But it's going to take probably a week's time to get things prepared to do that. You don't just go running off into the desert. Here at the tableland, so you can't just go running into the night, hoping that your caravan works out.
Time.
At least a week's time, yeah.
Here.
Mm-hmm.
Jack. Mortifer. And you and Mortifer we should go on ahead. Scout the roads. Get out. Anywhere else. A week here. No weapon in hand.
It's funny, as he's saying a week here, no weapon in hands, probably you guys having finished that conversation with her, making your way out of her house and walking about, and probably it's around sunset this second day or whatever. You guys are walking about and having this conversation with Mortifer, just kind of like airing his grievances to Jack, and Jack, not knowing how long he can contain Mortifer's rage.
Yeah.
You actually literally hear the phrase, no week here. In Ramish, and then you hear Vajnagar, Huitagapul, and like it seems like the same person, same voice in 4 different languages seems to be repeating the same thing. He says, "That is right, for glory and for coin. Come here, Hunta Punta Kill." And then
Glory? Mortifer would like glory.
This, I mean, intrigued that someone's willing to shout this stuff into the streets. Maybe follow the voice.
Oh, finally, something we can agree on. Let us go pursue glory.
Just keep your wits about you.
Mortifer hates this town more than he hates the champions. We should kill everyone here.
That's a bit extreme. Let's remember what the champions had us do for them.
Well, we haven't spent a week here yet.
So we'll follow the voice.
You go to an area where you see there's somebody that's clearly dressed weller than you, better than you guys are, of a higher stature, but definitely not somebody that's meant to be at the top of the totem pole. They clearly have some sort of official job within the city seat itself. And they are reading from an actual parchment, some sort of seemingly royal decree. Without going through all the different translations of the languages and whatnot, one of the things that you hear is, and you've heard it here before all else. We are looking for the bravest and the strongest to take on these tasks. You will, of course, be afforded the very rare opportunity to come to the castle and to speak with him himself. You'll have the very rare opportunity to service the realm and to aid all of its people in ways that you can't even begin to dream or understand with such simple minds and ideals. Please, come, show interest and join the foray.
Jack slaps Mortifer on the ass. Show him your interest, big guy.
Mortifer would like to pursue glory.
This Mortifer, I just imagine Mortifer speed walking, this big hulking man with the bowl cut, just being like, "I'm ready to get glory."
Wearing this stupid gown.
Yeah, you look ridiculous.
As you guys approach that man and his decree, as he's kind of finishing his thing, and Mortifer probably shoving people out of the way and picking his way through the crowd, like, "Mortifer first," and whatnot. Why don't we have him approaching that guy as
We go to break.
we cut to break?
Sounds good. Last break, everybody. Go do what you got to do. We'll be back for the last hour in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
I want more tea.
All right, here we are. Welcome back. The final hour.
Awesome.
Let's go.
So you guys go to approach the guy, and as you approach him, he turns to you and says, "Whoa, big boy," and he says, "Actually, and when you see no facial reaction, it's kind of like,
Speaking maybe from behind.
Speak Ramish.
There we go.
Mortifer would like to pursue glory. Yes.
We've got a winner. Well then,
That was too easy. Mortifer does not feel like he has won anything yet. Glory. Now.
He's taken aback by Mortifer's like big personality, but just for a couple moments, and then he's kind of like leans into it, and he's like, "So you're ready to earn yourself some glory, find a name for yourself." I mean,
Mortifer has a name.
Just like to himself, maybe you hear it. Jack just says, "Noble upbringing." What?
he once again just kind of like, taken aback for a second by Mortifer, and he's like, "You would like to earn a name that everyone in all realms will be familiar with, one that can be respected by all peoples, high and low."
You don't respect Mortifer?
Currently, no.
Well, Mortifer would gladly teach you respect.
And that's a lesson I'm willing to let you lead. So let's talk about what parameters there are here. And he then kind of like steps to the side to not just be speaking to you, but to others that have gathered around as well, and says, I see there are many of you here that are interested in going to the castle and to meet with the Sorcerer King himself, to meet with Hamanu. Well, one thing I must tell you is that I know amongst the peoples that are out here, there are a few of you that are opportunistic, roguelike, one might say. There are a few of you here that think maybe this is your opportunity to finally fell the king. This chance to sneak in, get close, and take your shot.
Jack, we can kill the king and take over the city.
No, Mortifer.
Mortifer has a very loud whisper. He stops and looks at Mortifer and says, "Go on."
No, Jack said no.
Looks around to the person you're kind of speaking with, takes a moment and says, "Jack, then?
In the flesh.
Interested?"
In killing the king, never.
Kind of like weighs that for a moment and then proceeds. "I will warn you that you will die before you even get the opportunity to try, and the death will not be, well, it won't be a gracious one. It will be one that is remembered and used as a lesson for all others. So please try for all of our entertainment. I encourage you, please try and kill the king. It would be a wonderful thing for you to do. We'll all have our laughs."
Succeed, but he's not allowed.
Well, I'm just saying that the fried roaches we eat that day will be delicious. And let me continue with telling you that you have an opportunity to meet him because he has a task for you.
Blah,
If
blah,
you
blah.
prove yourself worthy between now and then.
Mortifer's already worthy. Everyone knows his name. Who's anyone?
This task involves traveling a little while and handling a dangerous situation. If you feel as though you're capable of handling the situation, meet me here again tomorrow morning. Otherwise, don't waste my time and don't waste your life. I'm sure there's some other ditch you can find yourself in, slowly withering away. Nameless, purposeless.
Jack, this man's a fool. He does not know who Mortifer is.
And he with that, he'll kind of like climb down off of his little stage stepped up area and pat Mortifer on the leg and say, "Don't worry, Montifa. We will find out where you're from and if that place is a place worth reckoning." And walks past you.
Mortifer wants glory. He just wants an errand boy.
You want to come back in the morning, Mortifer, and figure out what he has?
He'll kind of like, he's like pouting. He'll like shrug his shoulders.
We'll come back in the morning, buddy. Maybe he wants things killed. At least that could be fun.
Hopefully more than just desert insects.
I just don't understand, Mortifer. That's all that exists in the desert is insects. Why are you surprised? What else is there for you to kill other than people and insects?
Mortifer doesn't know. Mortifer's too strong now. I think
Maybe you should have stayed in school. Now that I know you had an opportunity to go to school.
Mortifer will come back in the morning.
You guys retire for the evening, rest well, not a big deal. It's one of those things where resting for you guys is too easy to slip into, and it's too easy to enjoy, and too easy to slip out of. It's almost like resting is an option for you. You've just never really tried not doing it. But nonetheless, you're fine. You wake up, and you're ready to continue on. The next day in the morning, you do come back here as the sun rises. You're well past your grace of ignorance period. And you're really trying to tiptoe the best you can, poor Mortifer, around all these laws and the chaos and the chaos that seems to like ensue every moment as you're like, shit, I stepped this way and I really have to walk down. When I walk out of a shop, do I seriously have to take a left? Like I want to go to the shop across the way. I have to take a left. I have to take a left and make my way.
It's all one-way roads, man. It's all one way.
Ridiculous. And, like 3 steps to get that, and that's just unfortunately how it is. And Mortifer's mind is just reeling in this place and absolutely hates it. So he does, of course, encounter that stuff the next morning and gets him riled up in a fury as you guys go and to see what this man is again. The crowd that's now standing here before him is but a fifth the size it was the night beforehand of people that were interested. He gathers you all around and brings you outside of the center of the town and literally to just outside the northern gate, where there is, of course, a road that travels up to different town, whatever it's really at the moment. And he waits for everybody here to start kind of like filtering and gathering together. Could you guys do me a favor? Roll me Bab checks. I know there isn't a way to just flat roll a Bab check. So it's going to be 1d20 plus whatever your Bab is. You can slash roll that.
Just Mortifer, or did you say me too?
Both of you guys.
Okay. Oh, leave the same Bab. No, I rolled 10 less though, which fits.
Where is?
Our rolls are on your screen in front of you.
Oh no, not that. Sorry. Just trying to. Oh no, not that one either. Just trying to find a note for myself, but unfortunately, it's not appearing. Where are you?
Scott, we're right here.
Thank you, Wade.
Scott.
Thank you, Wade. Ah, there it is. I was just trying to make sure I said I pronounced it correctly. So you guys get out there with the group of others. He says, first and foremost, I would like to come forward and say that this is going to be a competition. I said that there's an opportunity for you to meet Hamanu, but this is not an opportunity for you to just meet Hamanu because you did well at a task. You need to be the best at the task. So we're sending everybody forward to see who comes back the victor. Now, how it is that you choose to be victorious, that's amongst yourselves. I really do not give 2 fucks. However, what matters is that the problem is resolved and that someone is here to claim the prize. North of this city, there is Makai. Makai, in case you're not familiar, is the town with which stands the greatest of all obsidian mines in all of the Tablelands. It produces the obsidian that's used for weaponsmithing and many other things, items of vast magic and whatnot in all of the land. These mines have recently not been producing. We have received reports that there have been disturbances in the mines, things that need to be handled. Now, these disturbances aren't something so simple as they've expired. The workers there that try to set foot into the mines it's believed that they have a curse because they show symptoms that of a disease, but don't spread it amongst others that they interact with. Quarantine or not, it doesn't spread further than anybody who enters into the mines. Eventually, they wither away and die. So, of course, I need you to go into the mines and find out what's wrong and what's causing this. Need you to find the source of this and destroy it. We need this production to continue again. Again, those of you that are successful will be rewarded a meeting with Habanu and an opportunity to gain true glory, as well, of course, as riches along the way.
A reward is a meeting. That sounds boring. But Mortifer likes glory, so.
Your reward will be many ceramic plates as well.
Jack likes plates. Mortifer wants more glory.
I'll take the plates. To north, then, to a town that produces and has a mine. How long
Who
do
do we have to kill?
You see, like the people around you are starting to like group together into like different groups of people. You can see this one dude comes over and he looks at you guys like,
Team's
"Hey, it
full.
looks like you."
You'll slow us down.
Are you one of the ones we have to kill?
He started to like get like puff his chest up like is what you just said, Mathis, that like Jack just said. Like he was about to just like get in your face, and all of a sudden more was like, "Are you one of the ones we have to kill?" He said, right, and then
Does everyone
turns
here
and
actually
starts.
even look interesting, or does everyone just look like mundane to us?
Everybody looks exactly the same, homie.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
Literally true. Literally true. Different heights, different widths, different genders, but other than that, exactly the same.
to the guy who's providing the opportunity, I just look to him and be like, how long is the travel north, and how long do we have to get it done?
It needs to be completed and get back.
No time limit then. Just first one to do it.
Well, there is a time limit. Somebody else will defeat you if you take too long.
No, they'll be dead.
So first come, first serve.
Mortifer cannot wait to kill everyone that looks like me.
Although, yeah, like just to cover him, I'm just like, yep, all those half ogres, whatever you are,
Half giants.
half giants.
He'll kind of like give you a glare, but he knows like you're better at speaking, so he'll just let you say whatever you're saying.
All right, Mortifer, we've got our job. Let's gather some supplies and head north.
Supplies, but
Yep, nope. Let's go.
You say that, a couple of others kind of like laugh amongst themselves and they're like, "You didn't supply it before you left, morons. They're totally gonna lose. Let's go." And you see a band of 8 of them are actually already starting to trek forward.
loud enough for them to hear. Mortifer will be like,
Yep.
"How far out of the city do we have to be before we can kill the competition?"
You said it to who?
Me.
To Jack,
Okay.
but loud enough where someone could probably hear him.
Jack kind of gives you one of these like looks, and he just says, once we're outside the city walls, the laws are no longer in place.
Good, because Mortifer hates the way everyone here looks,
Why don't just
including Mortifer.
we can just head out.
You don't have your
We have
stuff.
to go at least get our armor and weapons.
Yeah, well, yeah, we go gear up and then we'll just go head out.
Okay. So you guys, as you're walking back into the city to get your stuff, you can already see that 2 other bands had already either owned previously or just purchased camels, and they're already riding past you the opposite direction out of the city, riding their camels to start making their way. You guys make it back to your own homes and gather up your supplies. You unfortunately cannot don your armor or anything like that here, or gather your weapons in any way that's presentable here. You leave them all inside of your bags. Do you choose to speak to Kadid before you leave?
I will. I'll very quickly make my
So
way
you go
in.
walking into the room and saying,
Catted, I just want to say thank you for your hospitality.
"I'm sorry. Who are you?"
Oh, really? She actually just full on who are you? That's a first. I'll look to her. Jack, Catted.
"Oh, I must have had a moment, Jack. I'm terribly sorry. It's been."
Can I, like, cutting her off, I'll sit down and just, like, kind of very lean in and just nonchalantly plop myself in a chair. Just, like, look her in the eyes. Catted, that's been happening almost every time I've spoken with you.
Jack, that's not the only time. Mortifer would like to know why no one remembers you.
Yeah. Yeah, it happened in the prison, too.
Mortifer thinks he remembers Jack.
No, you definitely remember me. And then he'll look to learn. And then before he finishes, like, maybe something Einar did? And then he turns back to Catted.
I honestly, you're probably thinking too much into it. I just have been very worked lately, preparing things and trying to not allow the family to fully fall. It's difficult getting messages to and from Rame when you have a road littered with corpses on either side of Ramish people. Some of them are my family members, from what I understand.
That's understandable. I appreciate it. Right, I came here for a reason.
What is your plan?
Mortifer and I will be leaving for a couple of days. There's a job opportunity here in the city, and we're going to go take care of. Maybe make a little coin in the process, and present ourselves an opportunity to come face to face with this Sorcerer King, if we succeed.
Or not.
Well, he actually was like, well, he did say we could try.
I would like to kill that man too. He did not know Mortifer.
So Mortifer has grown entirely incapable of sitting still for much longer, and you've got to bring him out to. And she's saying this playfully.
Yeah.
She's not.
Yeah. She's not
very
being
playful.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's not generally very playful, but she is in this moment. She says you must bring him out to get a little exercise.
I wouldn't want his skills to get dulled.
Mortifer would never be dulled. Mortifer's
You are.
far too great a warrior.
Exactly.
But this is dull. Mortifer would like to go.
It would get us out of these city walls.
I'll be honest with you. As soon as we can leave, we are going to do so. I don't know exactly how long that'll be, but let's just assume a week's time. As soon as we leave, we are going to do so. You seem able to catch up to us if need be. Impressive out in the deserts, to say the least. So, I'm sure we'll be.
I looked to her like, yeah, impressive. We've spoken about that before, though.
Yeah.
We.
Yes, before we left Rain. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's just, again, my mind must be leaving. I'm seeming to have a hard time remembering things at the moment. My apologies.
You remember Mortifer?
Jack. Mortifer, of course.
In my name.
Jack.
I pull off the family ring that I've been carrying and just kind of place it on the table. Do you remember who gave this to me, or how I got this?
I know who wore it before.
Your sister. That's who I got it from. Just curious. I take off my disguise. Let's go, Mortifer. Let's leave. Leave yours on. Till we leave the city walls.
Okay. You guys gonna leave?
We'll do as Jack says.
A guard comes walking up to you guys almost immediately after you leave her place, and it's like, "Excuse me, you there?"
Oh, hi there.
Sorry. He says,
Oh.
"Undone doom for
Rame.
Refugee."
No. Mercenary.
G.
No, Refugee.
This man does not know the alphabet very well.
You can say it in, of course, his language because you were taught how to flub your way through that.
Sure.
Yeah, and so you do so. And so he thinks for a moment. And,
Ufer compa.
and so he says, he thinks for a moment and is like, looks over to Mortifer, looks him down and up, looks to you and says, "You leave?" He escorts you to the city, to the city gates.
Oh, sweet. Excellent. Off we go.
He watches after you if you leave, and of course, as you guys are walking off, he leans over and gives, like, you imagine, a word of warning to the gate guards that are there, kind of like watch after you.
The moment we're like even outside the city gate, Mortifer will rip this thing off.
Get me out of this shit.
He won't tear it because he knows they're supposedly coming back, but he will take it off and just get butt naked and put his armor on right then and there in front of everybody.
Okay, so you of course do that. Get a little sunburn on the cheeks, in the interim, but you do it, no problem. You get changed very slowly. It's very sensual. So oh god, end it now. So you guys make your way, you get changed, you get ready, and you leave the city. So you do start leaving the city, heading out to the direction of Makai. So go searching after this little adventure or whatever it is that you have in mind. As you're heading out in that direction, one of the things that you notice immediately is that traveling along this road is so much easier than traveling through the sands that you were beforehand. Oh my God, you can literally feel distance passing as your feet fall, step after step after step, minute, hour. You can actually feel successful in this endeavor. So as you guys are traveling on the road, one of the other things that you happen to notice is that the road is well guarded by the guards of the city. They don't seem to pay any mind to the fact that neither of you are perfectly in uniform. Wade, what do you do about your hair and your beard?
Hope it grows back.
Okay. They don't seem to pay any minds to the way that you're dressed or the disguise or lack of disguise that your characters seem to have. They
Can I
don't
use
seem to.
expansion just on my hair?
No. We can find you someone that can sell you a large extremity potion.
No.
Mortifer does not need that.
Are you sure?
Mm.
Are you positive? So you guys are traveling along. You can tell that very clearly these roads are guarded by the guards of Urik. There's no question about that. And so maybe even this is an extension of Urik itself. But the travel is a safe one. Nothing disturbs you along the way. Well, nothing, but not no one. At one point in time, when you guys are pulling up and sitting down to have a bite, no, you don't. You don't get hungry. You don't get thirsty. You don't get tired that easy either. You just walk straight, nonstop, for like ridiculous periods of time. Eventually, when it is that you decide maybe we should sleep because that's what we feel like our biological clock tells us we're supposed to do, but you've already made up like a considerable amount of distance between those that left before you and you guys finally did, because you just kept walking and never stopped, never slowed down. When you guys do finally choose to take a rest, you happen to have another one of those, we'll call them adventuring parties, nearby as well. You can choose to pull up camp with them, set up a camp nearby, or fuck them and just go over another like half hour or so before you camp up.
We could kill them, Jack.
What have they done to us, Mortifer?
They looked like us.
Not anymore, they don't.
We look like them. They could be a threat later. We could just eliminate it ahead of time.
If they're a threat,
Announce our presence. I'll have a fair chance.
I feel like, Mortifer, you've gone very serial killer on me. Let's push forward. Let them go. If they start something with us, have at it.
So where do you choose to set your camp for the evening?
Mortifer would defer to where Jack wants to set up. He offered his idea.
No, just wherever. If you want to, we can camp near him if you want. Give him an opportunity to say something. You can camp with them if you really want. That's fine. But just don't go in swinging. You want to camp with them?
We'll camp near enough by where we know that they see us. And they know we're there.
There you go.
You light your own little fire, and so the fire's here, of course, very small, as we already discussed fuel earlier in the session. So you guys set up your fire, you're camping, relaxing, so on and so forth. But eventually, of course, a couple of them end up coming over. And it's almost like they're bringing a peace offering. 3 people come over. You're not sure if it was their entire camp, but that's fine. 3 people come over, and each of them are carrying something. One of them, a loaf of bread that honestly smells good. Like it smells like maybe they baked it on the fire or bought it in town before they left or whatever it was, because it smells fresh and delicious. Another one's bringing like in one hand has 2 empty mugs, in the other hand a large wineskin, and the third one is coming over, and he's literally got like a leg of something. You think it's a giant beetle over his shoulder, and they're coming over to join you guys. And of the 3 of them, it's 2 dudes and a chick. One of the guys is like, "Mind if we join you? Little friendly chat before the friendly competition?"
I make kind of just a gesture like pull up a piece of ground.
They come over and they put down the mugs for you guys and pop open the wineskin and fill it up for the two of you. And somebody goes over immediately over to the fire and starts to, put a stick through, like a shard or whatever through the leg, and starts cooking up the giant beetle. And the last one starts to like cut into the bread, and everybody's taking their drink. Of course, at first you might be a little suspicious, but you do see that they're filling their own mugs back up with that wineskin, so that doesn't seem to be that's a concern there. Everybody's willing to eat some of the meat that's coming off and some of the bread.
Sure.
So everybody's kind of digging in. There's no concerns of, oh, maybe it's poisoned. And again, one of the guys will pick up conversation at first. Like, so just the two of you, huh?
Kind of always been that way.
I mean, you're probably gonna lose,
Mortifer has never lost. Would you like to check that out now?
Well, there was 8 of us, and there's 2 of you. So the likelihood of us being able to succeed in the endeavor...
Very minimal, but there's at least a chance. Mortifer is more than happy.
That was good.
He's like, no, I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to...
Oh,
to
please
join us."
try. Please, for Mortifer's sake.
This is when the girl chimes in and goes, oh, slow down. Turns over to the other one and says, you realize he's trying to goad you into a fight, even though you're too dumb to figure it out. And he's like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, he's trying to goad you into a fight, and you almost stumbled across one.
I looked at Mortifer. You almost outsmarted him, buddy.
She's like, no. We're not here to fight you. Mortifer, is it?
Yes.
It's a beautiful name there, Mortifer. So, it's almost chantable.
What's this girl look like?
Oh, she is delectable.
Mortifer grabs his
Color,
fucking...
her hair. Is she human?
She's definitely human.
I'll reach out. Is she pretty?
No.
She's
No.
Yeah, Jack would be like, hey, reach out, be like, and your name?
Trini.
Jack.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Jack.
And you, Trini.
I was prepared for this. I spent all day preparing myself for this moment.
Did you know
She
it was
says-
Mortifer's birthday recently, Trini?
Oh,
I just kind of
Was
give
it?
him a big pat on the back.
Yes,
She
and
says-
Mortifer hasn't been allowed to kill anything since.
she says, well, perhaps you do need a nice beast to slay there, my friend. And she gets up, fills up a mug, and goes over and sits down very close to you and hands the mug over to you, giving you a look.
Mortifer's a part of his eyes, probably like the blood veins just burst and turns red because he just wants to fight so badly.
There's other ways to work out that rage, Mortifer. And Jack kind of stands up and gets a piece of like meat, but then when he goes to sit, he sits on the opposite side just to get a good view of Jack and of Mortifer and Trini.
Wade hates Mathis and Scott.
I did not know she was coming here today too. I did not
Oh
know.
yeah, big surprise.
No, it's not a surprise, but I didn't know.
Watching how much you're enjoying the scenario between the two of them, one of the other guys comes over and sits very close to you as well, Jack, and offers you to sip from his mug.
Sure. I'll take a
Okay.
sip.
He reads that a particular way and like tells a joke or whatever and kind of like nudges you and lets his hand sit on your thigh.
Jack lets it sit.
There you go. and so Trinity's over there like, hey, so you're looking to smash things, I hear. I bet I could beat you in a fight there, buddy.
Is that to me or to
Oh, that's
Mike?
to you, man. Everything's to you. You need to smash things.
Fight. Mortifer would fight.
I bet I could beat you in a brawl.
Weapons.
I mean,
Fists.
fists, thighs,
Hammer?
whatever you call it.
I love it.
Mortifer calls his hammer his hammer.
If she dies, it's her own fault.
She says,
He's not being subtle at all.
she says, yeah, your hammer. It's the best thing for smashing.
Stop.
Yes, with this Mortifer can agree. You wish to take on Mortifer.
Oh, yes, I do. Gentlemen, if you'll excuse us.
Alone?
Of course.
There's
You
no
know what?
glory in dying this way. You should bring the rest of them.
Oh, you like witnesses? She
Jack.
thinks for a second, like this is
Mortifer's
like
confused.
this is.
You go Jack and look over, and Jack's like, just drinking wine, pretending not to know what's going on.
Activates his ability, so he's like, Jack, do I know you?
No, never on Mortifer. I don't need that on me.
Very well, if you wish to die this way, Mortifer.
I'm sorry, what?
You wish to die to Mortifer's hammer.
I'm not sure if you're being cute.
Mortifer is not cute.
I'm not sure. She looks over to Jack for guidance.
Tell me that joke again.
Oh, that's awesome.
Neutral evil baby.
Is that what do you call a woman between two posts? On that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so she's like, you're looking, of course, to.
Fight to the death, yes.
No. And then she leans in and whispers some very uncouth things in your ear.
Sexually charged, uncouth things.
That does not sound full of glory or blood.
Well, sorry to hear that, Mortifer.
She says, is that all that's on your mind?
For about 2 months, yes.
Jack will just like at that point take like the cue and actually just take this guy and then gesture to her and be like, I could use a little exercise myself.
She shrugs and kind of like walks off and goes over and is like, never minds then. And she kind of comes over and sits there and things kind of progress differently.
Yeah,
than what she was originally
go have a
hoping
threesome,
for.
have a good time.
How did she confuse Mortifer's hammer? Hammer's very obvious.
The three of them end up going off.
Goodbye.
Leaving this Mortifer with one of the dudes sitting there. Who's gonna sit there like just
You
as
wish to die
perplexed.
to Mortifer's hammer?
Whoa. Not neither sense of the phrasing, my friend.
Neither sense.
Yeah,
What kind
I'm
of
gonna.
competition have we gotten ourselves into?
My camp's back over there. Enjoy the meat. He gets up and just kind of like walks off with another little piece of bread with him and leaves Mortifer sitting there perplexed alone on a stump. Nothing left from Mortifer other than his thoughts and, well,
Mortifer almost had a
Sounds-
fight twice and somehow lost it both times. What kind of fool doesn't know what a hammer is?
the next morning, there's a little bit more pep in Jack's step. And Mortifer is just upset and slouch-shouldered and surly-faced. And you guys march on for probably longer than Jack wanted to, but Mortifer just refuses to allow more time to be wasted, more time to pass. I do not want this anymore. So you guys continue traveling until finally you find yourself to the town of Makai. The town of Makai is just that, a large town as opposed to a city metropolis and one of those things. Meaning that there's a couple thousand people that live there, but not an extreme number by any stretch.
Is this the town we were trying to get to?
Correct. You're able to get there because the sheer duration that you can walk for, and the fact that you're on a road, you guys were able to make it there actually in what 2 days, but it was more than 2 days worth of walking. You know what I mean? And you guys are also able to push yourselves a little bit harder than others typically could. So you find yourselves to the town of Makai. Now, the town of Makai is in a likeness to that of Urik, in that it is very, very well designed, well thought out, planned, et cetera, cleaner lines, and so on. But definitely doesn't have that same exact edge that Urik has. First and foremost, there are very much smaller walls here. There are guards outside the walls, but as you guys pass in, they just kind of, look you up and down, but don't really say anything to you as you go. when you walk into the place. Pretty much everybody here has the same haircut, and if they wear beards. Pretty much everybody here has the same clothing, but the clothes aren't as clean. The haircut might not be quite as even as it was there. You know what I mean? There might be some scruff on the side of the cheeks as well. And while people do still walk one direction on one road, another direction, another road, if somebody has to cross the way to get into something, literally just cross, they do so. You know what I mean? So it has the same, it's like an homage to Urik that oversees it without having those extremely strict rules. But what you also do notice is that this entire region, which is at the base of a mountain known as the Shocking Crown, I believe it's called, the Smoking Crown. The entire region has a bit of an odor to it. It's something that most people might not be familiar with, but your characters are from the experiences that you had back in Rain. It's literally the smell of burning obsidian. So there's an active volcano that happens to be in this area over in the Smoking Crown. Active in the sense that it is almost always has a stream of smoke pluming from it. So this is very likely where it is that the obsidian is made from, literally the lava of that volcano. However, as far as your knowledge goes, it's never erupted in any lifetime that you're familiar with. So, but history. When you guys go into the place, again, you get that kind of like feel. But people here also do walk around with armor on, do walk around with weapons at their side. It feels a lot more relaxed. I'm assuming one of the first things you guys do when you walk in is find yourself over to, like, say, a tavern, maybe have yourself a beer, and maybe start gathering a bit of information.
Sure.
Unless you, of course, say otherwise, Mike.
No, I think it'd be a good idea just to understand how bad the sickness is in the town so far. Maybe some common symptoms to look out for, and maybe when it started.
So when the two of you go in there and you sit down, you order your drinks and finish the conversation amongst one another, which I do have to inquire. Is there anything you feel as though you need to say to one another before you start pressing with the NPCs?
Okay. Got anything more to for?
Nope.
Okay.
So when the two of you go in there and sit down and start finish kind of the conversation with one another, you start pressing for questions. Who is it that you approach? Who is it you try to ask? Is it within the tavern or outside?
I think the person that Jack would look for would be people who just look like they work the mines. People who have been there. Because, I mean, if you go to... If Mortifer asks, like, whatever, basically the reasoning is, like, if you go to the guards, they might try to underplay it or whatever. But if you go to the people who see it firsthand, you're going to get a realer account. So those are the people I would go see. Sure.
So it's pretty easy to assess who it is that is a miner and who it is that isn't. No checks or anything need to be made. But do you want to just go for any miner, or do you try to find something position?
I mean, if there's positioned miners, then maybe
remember the clothes are very similar to what it was elsewhere.
Yeah, so I figured that, but like I figured all miners would be of lower caste.
Of course. So, but there's different lengths of dress.
Sure. The highest regular miner I can find, I guess, would be who I go for.
Awesome. In that case, I'm going to have you guys roll for me either diplomacy or perception to try to find.
Perception, not me. I'll do diplomacy. Wait, perception for you, for sure.
Yep. Yeah,
I rolled a natural one. Good God,
well,
man.
2 shitty rolls.
Still, 14 to 15 is not terrible.
Okay. So you guys go around. You find somebody that clearly isn't just like the dregs of the mines, and maybe that's why this person is still alive, is because they weren't one of the ones that just went running right back in as soon as things went sideways. Nonetheless, you're able to meet with this man, and so you kind of you see him across the way, and he's actually in the tavern itself, so you don't have to go far to find him. And you approach. He looks to you and says, "Yes."
Hi. I guess I would just reach out my hand, introduce myself. My name is Jack. My companion here is Mortifer. We're actually here about the disease outbreak we've heard so much about on behest of Urik.
So they're finally doing something about it.
So it seems.
No, we are doing something about it.
What are you bothering me for then? Is something I can do?
General information. What are the symptoms of the disease? How long ago did it start?
What can we kill?
Well, that is conflicting reports from what came from down there. Well, some say that they've seen things move down there. They've seen creatures crawling about. This is right around when the disease started to present itself. Others didn't see that at all, but then again, some experienced the disease and some didn't. I'm not sure. Description of the creatures I couldn't really give you beyond third-hand information, but from what I understand, they were not big creatures, not massive, but really small in size and traveling together, like one. Really don't have much more of a description than that. Like you would imagine, if there were a bunch of rats together, but I think they said that they were flying.
We are
As for
brought
the
in to kill flying rats. Mortifer's bored again.
As for the disease, it's different. When you contract it, you're sure to die, but you don't share it with anyone. It works kind of like a black lung, a cough. It gets worse. You cough up blood, but then your skin starts to change and darken, almost to the color of obsidian. Once you start to get too dark in color, then you know that your hours are numbered, and eventually you fall and die.
What are done with the corpses?
Well, this is where it's strange. At first, the corpses were gathered, piled outside the city in burns to stop, the spreading of this. That was in the earlier phases of the disease. I say earlier because this has been going on for, it's hard to count days. Sometime, weeks. But just a few days ago, it progressed. Some of the people that have been affected by this almost seem like they themselves are turning into obsidian. The first body that fell, that gave this symptom, when they hit the ground, they shattered. And they were pieces. And this is where it gets even stranger. Same symptoms as always. You contract it, you don't spread it. You can only get it from going into the mines. You die, you fall. But those that fall and shatter, one person was picking up the shards to investigate them, prick their finger. And then they themselves contracted the disease.
Could it be the obsidian itself in the mine?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But we've not even been able to mine any obsidian out of there. Anybody being sent in is, well, it's being sent in there to investigate or find these creatures or see if there's even ore. We're seeing nothing.
Mortifer's here to battle a disease.
Not a naturally caused one, it sounds, though, Mortifer.
We can only hope.
Only one way to find out.
I can direct you to somebody that might have some more information, but that's what I've got for you.
We'll take all the information we can get.
Oh, good.
Well, she who rules this town, she's businesslike, purse-lipped. Her purse is the way to get her to part her lips. Enough plates, and she might be willing to part with information. You'd hope that somebody would be more willing to help with this, but it seems like she's, I don't know. I don't want to speculate. You know what happens.
Point us in her direction. I'll happily speculate for you.
Like you speculated with that girl the other night?
It looks between the two of you.
What of it?
Mortifer still doesn't understand why we couldn't fight.
Because she was horny, Mortifer.
Leans back in his seat a little bit, willing to listen.
He won't remember any of this. Take us to where we need to go.
So,
Two of them almost went for Mortifer's hammer, and then both of them backed out.
So close, Mortifer.
So you make your way to this is more or less gestures to where it is that you'd be able to find her, which is over like her we'll call it an estate, just kind of like her government building. or over by like the actual entrance to the mines. And you guys try to investigate to find where she is. Eventually, you are able to find her, and she is over near the actual entrance of the mines itself. When you guys get there, you can actually see she's already finishing up a conversation with these 3 other people that she was speaking with. Clearly, they were ones that had rode in on camels after you guys had kind of like gone in to get your stuff. These 3 were some of the ones that had left ahead of you.
Okay.
She's like finishing up the conversation with them after like a minute or two. And it goes back to like directing things. To describe her, her hair is similar enough to that what I've described beforehand. Again, it's about the jaw line length, cut clean all the way around, like sharp cut all the way around. But her clothes are far more elaborate than what you would typically find. She doesn't wear the almost like dress-like clothes that you find that go down to her ankles. She wears very, very light clothes that are form-fitting and cover significantly less. She's very dark tone in skin, so maybe she just enjoys bathing in the sunlight. Whatever it might be, she doesn't seem to shy away from it at all. You can tell that she's having conversation with other people and so on and so forth. It's less of conversing and more of commanding. How do you choose to approach?
Just straight on. I'm not gonna hide or anything.
Sure. As you guys approach, she kind of like wheels around to look at you as you're approaching and says, "You've been watching for a while. What do you want?"
Probably what you've been dealing with all day.
People coming in and asking for questions because they think they're going to find some amount of coin and glory for doing so. I'm so glad.
Not care about coin. What can we kill?
She listens to you say that and says, "Fine. Ask away."
How about the usual stuff? How long has this been going on?
Sometime.
Time frame?
Period of time.
Is your bottom line not being hurt by this?
Oh, mine? No, not the least bit.
Well, what is it that you're in charge of here then?
The city, the town.
And isn't the city main export their obsidian and weaponry?
I'm not going to get into how the economics of this region works, but no.
No, interesting. I was told otherwise. Okay, let's see. People are being turned into obsidian, I'm told.
They are.
Have you made use of their obsidian corpses afterward?
That is a disgusting question. The idea of even touching the corpses is vile, to say the least. Then to use obsidian comprised of a corpse, is that not more vile than the touch of a corpse in and of itself?
Waterford would like to be made into a weapon upon his death.
She can appreciate the romantic thought of that, even if the practical idea and the way that that question was just phrased from Jack disturbs her.
Sometimes, rather grotesque scientific methods need to be taken to figure out what exactly is the root cause of the problem in the first place.
It's a bunch of gibberish.
And your king wants this shit figured out. So how about you obey your king?
You're welcome to go into the mines. You have my blessings.
And
good luck.
Maybe they're
Waterford did not expect to find someone as pissed off as him here. He appreciates.
She nods.
Into the mines then, Mortifer. We'll solve her problem. She can thank us later.
That's it? Just gonna walk in?
We have nothing to fear.
Yes, you do.
No, we don't.
Good luck then.
Mortimer fears nothing. Except for finding a fear. Is that... Never mind.
Let's go, Morty.
You guys immediately turn to start walking into the mines. And as you go walking in, almost immediately, within the first 20 feet, 30 feet into the mines or so, the ceiling drops lower and lower and lower, to the point where Mortifer is going to have to fairly consistently crawl to keep up with Jack, because his height is just so large compared to Jack's. Jack can walk through the mines, ducking his head at points and standing full up at points and whatnot, because the mine tunnels are carved, but there are areas where you just don't want to dig too high up. You don't want to blast in too far or whatever. But for the most part, he can stand his full height. But Jack's full height is
5'1", 2".
Yeah, allowing that somebody that's anywhere under 6 feet to very comfortably walk through here.
What
Anything
about
over
11'9"?
Yeah, no. So again, crawling, through this region with your ass often, scraping against stuff. You get maybe at most 100 feet in before things start to get really ridiculous with Mortifer. Literally, just like you have to crawl.
Why is life so complicated, Jack? Mortifer just wants to kill things. Not be on his hands and knees crawling through some rock cave.
We'll see what happens, Mortifer. Sliver along.
And you guys continue to crawl deeper and deeper into the mine. And that is where we will end this session.
Works for me. You'll get to kill things next session there, Wade.
This was a fun episode. This was fun for me. Like, even if Mortifer didn't get the fight, just being a pissed off Mortifer, it's fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm excited to really stretch the legs of these abilities in time.
Wade, I tried to give you a Trini to kill. I
I
tried.
tried to get to kill her, but Jack fucked her instead.
You scared her off.
You were just not subtle enough to get her
I
alone
tried.
and then
No.
like accidentally kill her, even though you.
Well, I mean, so Mortifer's been obviously chaotic evil this whole episode. He's very just bored, and the boredom has like festered in him. So if everyone's like,
Makes
"Why
sense.
is Mortifer so serial killer?" He's just festered in boredom,
But
walking
actually-
along with people that are slowing him down, not getting to fight anything that actually feels like competition, and they go to a town where he's got to change the way he looks, and basically what he sees is an underling. Try to fit in with all, like, he's just pissed off and tired, and it's festered within him, so he's just ready to kill anything to where he can't even contain his like bloodthirst right
Yeah.
now.
I mean, that makes sense.
I'm surprised you didn't just straight up attack that group of 8 people.
That's why
So
I was kind of like,
During the camp time.
Yeah, so I've been rolling like wisdom checks, and I've meant to roll a couple will saves or whatever, but at this point he's still at the point where he's like, if Jack calms him down, he's listening, but it's getting to the point where there's gonna be some will saves unless we get to fight something in the caves where he's.
well, that's why I was like, once we were outside and we were near their camp, I was like, whatever happens, fucking happens. Like, I don't give a
Yeah.
shit.
Well, he still has the thought of like he wants them to stand a chance, just smash them in the back of the head.
It's not honorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. We will be back in 2 weeks' time, right? We're not missing in 2 weeks.
nope. I'll be here
Oh, yeah. I was like, next week? But you mean, yeah.
2
for
weeks. time.
Thursday. We'll be here next Wednesday, but
Yeah,
then
we'll be here next Wednesday for our normal Wednesday show, but this show's every other Thursday. So we'll be back on the 18th with the next episode of Dark Sun, but we will be back on the 10th, which is next Wednesday, for our Faerun campaign. Thanks for watching, everybody. As always, if you want to see the show, and if you missed it, you can always watch it immediately after as a VOD if you're a sub on this channel. If not, 24 to 48 hours later, it's up on YouTube, which you can check out the VODs command in chat. And if you want to support us directly and bypass all that stuff, you can go right to Patreon to just directly support us and get some nifty benefits. You can create items, you can create characters, you have a little influence in the campaign, and you don't have to worry about ad rates and all that stuff that Twitch has. So thanks so much. We'll go around the room. We'll start with Wade. Wade, where on the internet can people find you?
You guys can find me at YouTube, LordMinion777. Same on Twitter. I think I'm the Lord Minion on Instagram, and you usually find me on the socials. Minion777 on Twitch. I do a podcast with Mark and Bob every Tuesday, 3 Peens in a podcast, where we talk for a couple hours, usually play games for a while. Then every Wednesday and every other Thursday here on Lost Initiative Show.
Heck yeah. Thanks, brother. Scott, what about you, homie?
You can find me over at twitch.tv/DaleRick. You know how to spell it. You know how to spell that, right? You know how to spell that. That's okay. It's written right there on the stream, right?
Yeah. No.
Good job. Good job, Mike.
I got that thing right at the end. I need to redo it. I need to put the names in there.
So everybody, I just started a brand new campaign, or it's actually Wednesday mornings, 9 a.m. EST. We are playing another Pathfinder game, which is kind of funny, but a Pathfinder for the system, but it's my own homebrew world called Aurorum. We just started doing it. It's wicked cool. I've put a lot of work into building this homebrew world. I've been releasing PDFs of the world to my patrons over on Patreon, but it will eventually all be released to the public as well, so other people can enjoy it too. Anyways, definitely check it out because it is a Kingmaker game, a game where the party is starting off just as a typical adventuring party as they learn the lands and where they want to lay their foundation, and then actually starts to build a nation as the season 2 and whatnot goes on. So it'll be a lot of fun for anybody that likes that kind of stuff.
It's good stuff. And as far as me, Mathis Games pretty much everywhere. I'm here every Wednesday and every other Thursday. And I do another D&D thing on Saturdays on the Roll For It channel for Vampire the Masquerade. And that's it for my tabletop stuff. Chilluminati podcast for paranormal podcast stuff. And that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Goodbye.